The Ryder Cup. Unique, euphoric, unanimously loved. Here's the history and some of the key numbers behind the contest that grips the world of golf and beyond like no other. The first edition was held in 1927, where a Great Britain team arrived by boat to play in Massachusetts at the Worcester Country Club. Originally, the competition comprised of 4 foursomes and 8 singles, with 4 balls not introduced until 1963. In the first 22 editions, when it was just Brits and Irish against the US, America only lost 3. So, in 1979, in came the rest of Europe, including the future 5-time Ryder Cup winner, Seve Ballesteros. Since Team Europe was established, the head-to-head reads Europe 13, USA 9. Home advantage is a big deal. Europe's last away win was the miracle at Medina in 2012, and America hasn't won on European soil since '93 at the Belfry. It's accepted that both teams tailor their home courses to suit their own players. For example, in Paris in 2018, Thomas Bjorn asked for the rough to be kept extra long beyond the green to target the big booming American drives. 10 years earlier, Paul Azinger did the opposite, and the Valhalla rough was trimmed right down. On both occasions, the home side were resounding winners. So what about the money? The most recent Ryder Cup in Rome drew in a record 271,000 spectators and boosted the Italian economy by €262 million. In the US, the PGA America TV deal with NBC is worth $440 million. But no Ryder Cup revenue has ever gone directly to individual players. That's until now. In 2025, for the first time ever, the US team will each receive a fee for playing in New York. Of course, in Rome, legend has it Patrick Cantley refused to wear his cap because he wasn't being paid to wear it, though he insisted it simply didn't fit. Either way, Team Europe have made it clear they're more than happy to keep playing for the sheer thrill, joy and prestige of the Ryder Cup.
Good evening, welcome to Fight Night on talkSPORT with me, Gareth Davies, and him, Spencer the Omen Oliver. We've got a huge 3 hours coming up your way now, packed with big guests and the biggest talking points in boxing. Derek Chisora, we hear, is set to face Deontay Wilder in London in what will be the 50th fight of Ward's professional career, and we'll be breaking down what that moment really means, as well as all the other heavyweight news. Joining us live in the studio, middleweight George Liddard stops by as he continues his rise through the ranks. We'll also be speaking to Leo Atang, the young heavyweight who joins the show to look ahead to his next fight against Amin Busetta. It's bare knuckle boxing next weekend in Miami. I'm there for talkSPORT. It's live on talkSPORT. It's their 50th event. Aaron McCallum joins us later. Plus, how far has boxing really come over the last decade? Spencer and I will delve back into the annals of 2016 and compare it to now, 2026, and give our verdict on Zuffa's first ever show, which took place at the Apex in Las Vegas in the early hours of this morning. All that and much more right here on Fight Night on talkSPORT. Well, new music and a new intro, a new year and a new partnership. Our first of the year, Spencer Oliver. How are you?
Yeah, very well, Gareth. Always a pleasure working with you, mate, and looking forward to tonight. Action-packed show we've got. There's stacks to get through.
We want your calls, your texts, your tweets, your WhatsApp messages about the heavyweight division in the next 30 minutes, because we're going to alight tonight on the heavyweights to begin with. And we're going to start with Derek Chisora, who was on your show with White and Jordan, Spence, on Thursday, We hear he'll be facing former world heavyweight champion Deontay Wilder in London in April in his 50th career fight. Have a little listen, have a little look at what Derek told them earlier this week. Oh, it's just pictures I'm hearing, so we're going to talk over this, Spencer Oliver. I thought he was very convincing. There was a ruse a little bit on his Instagram, on his social media, docking the contract while he had Deontay Wilder. There he is. There is a little bit of video there of him on his Instagram showing Deontay Wilder the contract, telling us all we thought it might have been someone else. Fabio Wardley was talked about as a 50th opponent, which I liked as well. But Deontay Wilder seems to be the guy. We'll get into the whys and wherefores in a minute. But do you like that contest?
Listen, yeah, I do like that contest. I think it's a good contest for both of them. If you talked about that fight, 3 years ago, I don't think you could have even talked about that fight 3 years ago. That's sort of like, Deontay Wilder, in recent times hasn't looked particularly good. Last time out against Tyrell Herndon, he got back to winning ways. But before that, the loss to Zhele Zhang and Joseph Parker. And he just seems to have derailed. He said that was personal problems, things that were going on in the background of his personal life. And he's going to see the new, improved Deontay Wilder back to his best. Will we? I'm not so sure. I think that the fight may have lost Wilder. And for right now, for Derek Chisora, I think that's a great fight. But as you said, Gareth, we didn't see that coming because we truly believed that Derek Chisora would be in a different contest in his 50th fight. And we thought we was going to get the Fabio Wardley fight. That's what we thought we was going to get. I thought that was the one that Fabio Wardley showed a lot of interest in. We thought it was Deontay Wilder versus Alexander Usyk because Usyk wanted to clean up the modern era, and all about the legacies. So it's a fight that's sort of come out of the blue, isn't it? And that Instagram post with Derek and Deontay, I think is firmly on for April the 8th.
Well, the reports are at the moment, of course, that's going to be in London. It's his 50th fight. It is Deontay Wilder. There's talk of Misfits, the Sauerlands being involved, KSI involved. I get that. But there's also a dispute brewing with Frank Warren, who says he's still under contract with Derek Chisora, even though Derek Chisora says he's not under contract with Frank Warren. So that needs to play out as well, Spencer.
Yes, it certainly does. I spoke to Derek Chisora, who seems to think he is out of contract. He said that contract expired 2 months after the Otto Wallin fight, which was back in February 2025. So he says he's a free agent and he wants his 50th fight. He wants a big one. He wants it at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. He wants a big name. Deontay Wilder fits the bill. But there is this ongoing situation now with Frank Warren, who, like you said, Gareth, said that he is still under contract. So it's going to be interesting to see how this one plays out, because I know that Frank Warren is talking about putting some big fights on in April as well. Will that clash, there's talk of Derek Chisora's fight also being on Sky Sports, and that's the return of Sky Sports boxing, which is interesting as well. Yeah, that's right. So
pay-per-view ain't dead, baby.
Pay-per-view definitely ain't dead, not on Sky Sports. And I think that's where Derek recognises that that's where the big money is.
Let's just talk about the wheres and wherefores of that fight at the moment. If that does go ahead, if this is all ironed out with Frank Warren and the Sauerlands and Derek and Deontay, they clearly want the fight. It's a good fight. It's an interesting fight. It's a last hurrah for Deontay Wilder, one imagines. We'll come to the Alexander Usyk discussion around him in a minute. But for Derek, and I see him as a marginal favourite in that fight against Deontay, even though Deontay will still have power and Derek will have to be careful with him. It's a good fight. It sells well. They both sell fights very well. But the logical step, Derek is number 2 with the IBF, right? He is, where is he? He's number 6 with the WBO right now. Mm-hmm. There is a chance that Derek could end up fighting for a world title again, remarkably, should he beat Deontay Wilder, because he might put himself into the position where Fabio Wardley doesn't have an opponent at the moment. That could be the next opponent, the winner of that against Fabio Wardley. There's an opportunity for Derek to have a world title. It's incredible. And he would go on to a 51st fight, in my view.
Absolutely. I've spoke to Derek about this, and he does recognise that. He recognises that this fight now with Deontay Wilder puts him in position, because, yes, he is in that position to fight for the IBF title at some point soon. He said he wasn't interested in the world titles. He wants the biggest and best fight because he said it is 50 and out. But that carrot is dangling, isn't it? Because he recognises if he beats Deontay Wilder, he is in line again to fight Alexander Usyk. That is the facts here. So although Chisora says this is 50 and out, and I did speak to him yesterday about this, and I went, look, mate, you come through this fight. Let's say you beat Deontay Wilder and you're offered the Usyk fight. Is it happen? He said, if I accepted that Alexander Usyk fight, my wife would kick me out. He said, Spence is 50 and out. She won't let me box anymore. And he said, and I've always said that I'm 50 and out, but let's see what happens.
But don't believe what they tell you, believe what you see.
Absolutely.
Derek is a money weight fighter these days. And if he got an opportunity to earn 10 million quid or more for fighting Alexander Usyk, he would be taking it. There's no question about it. Here's the thing, though. We want your calls and your tweets and your texts and your messages on this. Is Derek Chisora, yes, it's two great names in the sport from the current era. Is it really a pay-per-view event? Does it merit it? Would you go to it? Would you pay money for tickets? Would you pay for the pay-per-view? We want to know. Would you, Spencer Oliver?
I absolutely would. We live in an entertainment world now, and I think they're two huge characters, and I think they both earned that right as well. And I think where they're at now, you know, in comparisons to their careers and where they're actually at right now, they're running quite parallel. You know, they're both, you know, pretty much at the end of their career. Derek Chisora is the guy in form, actually. You look at his last 3 fights against Gerald Washington, Joe Joyce and Otto Wallin. He seems to be having a bit of an Indian summer, doesn't he? But Deontay Wilder, who was the most feared man in the heavyweight division over the last decade,
5 years ago.
has deteriorated massively. And all of a sudden, we've got two huge characters. Could you imagine a fight week? How good the fight week would be with those two. And I think that's what sells. I think that people would pay to watch it.
No, we are watching kind of great names, iconic names from the era. There's no question about that. And it's Derek's 50th fight. We're going to get into the whole of the heavyweight division in the next section, but we want your calls. You're listening to Fight Night, or watching Fight Night even, on talkSPORT with me, Gareth Davies, and him, Spencer the Omen Oliver.
a trip to South Africa with the Barmy Army on talkSPORT.
Yeah, welcome back to Fight Now on talkSPORT. It is with me, Gareth Davies, but it's also with Spencer the Omen, Oliver, to give him all his dues and props. Now, our next competition has arrived before we get into more heavyweight fight stuff. England returns to South Africa next winter, and as always, the Barmy Army will be out there in full force, and this time you could be too. We're giving away a week for two at the 2027 New Year's Test in Cape Town. Every day of the match at one of the world's greatest cricket grounds with flights, hotel and spending money all covered. It's your chance to secure 2 spots with the official Barmy Army. It could be you and me, mate. So you'll be right in the mix with the rest of the fans. Barmy Army, Barmy Army. You've got to do that for 5 hours, haven't you? So listen up. Here's how to enter. Right, are you listening?
I'm listening.
Me and you. For the chance to win, text WIN to 83338. That's 83338. Texts cost £2.50 plus your standard network rate, or call 0343 418 7260. Lines closed 6th of February 2026 at 4 p.m. UK time. That's when you'll need to answer your phone if it rings, Spencer. UK plus, 18 plus, UK residents only. This is a network promotion. Full T's and C's at talksport.com. So for your chance to win, text WIN to 83338 now. I don't think you can actually win it or me, but it'd be great. I'd love to go to Cape Town with you. It's a great place.
You know what? I'd love to go to Cape Town with you, mate. But you know what? That was very impressive. That was a long read. You've done very well there, mate.
No, I'm glad it was me. You read it on the next break.
No,
okay?
you're good.
Well, welcome back to Fight Night. We want your texts, calls, tweets, everything over this direction, please, right now in the next 15, 20 minutes, next hour, up to midnight, about the heavyweight division. Derek Chisora we discussed in the last segment, and it was Derek Chisora potentially fighting Deontay Wilder. This is a fan show, so let's listen to what our friend Hamza, the Man United fan, has got to say about Derek Chisora and Deontay Wilder. Good evening, Hamza. How are you?
Not too bad, thank you, Gareth and Spence. How are you guys doing?
Yeah.
Very good. What have you got to say?
To be honest, it's a bit of a strange feeling, because if this fight was announced maybe about 3-4 years ago, you'd be fearing for Derek, but I'm probably a bit more worried for Wilder now, because I think that Derek probably can get him out of there, the way that, their last few fights have gone.
I sort of agree with you, mate. I think that you look at the way that it's changed, the way that the landscape of these two has changed has been quite phenomenal, isn't it? If I said this early at the beginning of the show, that if this fight was announced 3 years ago, I'm not sure that they would have even allowed it to happen. But Derek Chisora's in a good run of form. Deontay Wilder, who I caught up with, by the way, out in Dubai last month or a couple of months ago, and he said there was a lot of betrayal going on in his life and a lot of personal problems, and that showed in the ring. He wasn't training properly. He didn't have that self-confidence, but that's all gone now, not making excuses, and you'll see the Deontay Wilder of old. It's an intriguing fight, if I'm totally honest, but Derek Chisora, bizarrely, does probably start favourite.
I agree with that. Hamza, would you prefer to see Derek in with Deontay Wilder, or would you have preferred to have seen him fight Fabio Wardley that was being mooted at one point?
I think for Derek, the Wilder fight definitely is a better fight for him, because it's a lot more winnable. And I think Wardley would have been... I'm probably thinking of Wardley how I would have thought of Wilder a few years ago. And I think Wardley could probably do a lot of damage to Derek. So for me, being obviously a fan of Derek and it being his final fight, I think this one is a lot better because he can sell as well. Wilder's a massive name. A lot of the fans in the UK know him, how many times he fought Fury. So I would personally prefer him fighting Wilder, to be honest.
Right, I'm going to ask you one more question. We're going to get on with the heavyweight division. Thank you for your time tonight, Hamza. I'm going to ask you this. How many British heavyweights will be world champions by the end of the year, and name them, please?
End of this year... we may not have any.
Oh, okay. I think we might have a Tyson Fury and we might have a Moses Itauma.
That's a great shout. I was along those lines. And I think that we will still have a Fabio Wardley, by the way.
Hamza, thank you very much indeed for your call. I know you're a regular caller. We really appreciate you so much. Right, Spence, let's look at the heavyweight division right now. Derek Chisora, Deontay Wilder, we've discussed. Alexander Usyk was being linked with a fight with the American Deontay Wilder up until this came to the surface that Derek was going to be enticing him to the UK for a fight in London. Alexander Usyk potentially talking to Zuffa Boxing. We're going to get into Zuffa Boxing. We want your calls on Zuffa Boxing and how they did last night in their inaugural event at the Apex in Las Vegas. We're going to talk about it in detail and at length later on. Jaya Pataya there ringside, of course. We'll talk about him as well tonight when we talk about that. Alexander Usyk, can Zuffa Boxing sign him, in your view? And what a big coup that would be if they managed to do so. Where do we think he's going this year?
Yeah, I think that they can sign him because of the powerhouse that's behind Zuffa Boxing, and that's Turki Al-Sheikh. Dana White, he's a big powerhouse himself, and he's trying to establish himself in the boxing game, which is good for boxing. It's healthy for boxing. It's good to have these big characters in there, and we know that Turki Al-Sheikh is behind that, is backing that as well. So I think they're going to be main players in the sport for sure. We'll get into talking about the show a little bit later on. I think that we could now see Alexander Usyk out of nowhere fighting Andy Ruiz Jr.
Right.
This is the now rumours that are circulating.
Yeah.
And it's an interesting fight. I think that, Alexander would be way too slick for him, but this is how the heavyweight landscape changes.
That's what I'm hearing as well, that it could well be Andy Ruiz. They've got the coffers, they've got the ability to pay the purse that he's needed. And again, it's a massive signing for him if they do go ahead and do this. We know that Alexander Usyk has split with his previous promotional team in Alex Krasiuk. We know that he's kind of an open book at the moment. We know he wants 3 or 4 more fights. The route for me is he stays in America at the moment. I think Fabio Wardley will be announced as having an opponent fairly soon. Tyson Fury will be back in April as well, potentially against Arslanbek Makhmudov or one of 4 other fighters in the offing at the moment. It may not be Makhmudov. I was hearing it might have been him, but we don't know at the moment. Spencer Brown giving interviews to Sky in the last couple of days about it, and some of the social media outfits. Could we see, and this is the route I see this year, Anthony Joshua's in abeyance for obvious reasons at the moment, and we don't know when he's coming back. Fabio Wardley fights in April, defending the WBO. Tyson Fury fights a week before or a week after. If he fights a week before and he beats whoever it is, he's ringside at Portman Road or wherever it's going to be outdoors with Fabio Wardley or at a big stadium, and he fights the winner then of that, and maybe Fabio Wardley against Tyson Fury in the summer. Alexander Usyk has pointed to the fact that if Tyson Fury wants a trilogy fight with him, it needs to be for the undisputed. So that brings that into play if he holds the WBO and Alexander still holds the other 3 belts. I'm not sure Tyson Fury will want to do that, even though he says he does want to do that. I think he's a couple and done. I think my belief is the Joshua fight will happen, a huge money fight. I estimate and guesstimate, after being in Miami in December, that Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury will fight on Netflix. I truly believe that will take place on Netflix. They'll all come to an agreement, and I think Fury will fight in April. If he fights Fabio Wardley, if he does, great, but I think he'll go for the Anthony Joshua fight.
Well, this is the way that I see Tyson Fury this year. He said that he wants 3 fights this year, and I think we get 3 fights this year. And I think Makhmudov is the front runner for that fight in April. And it's an interesting month in April, by the way, as well, because I interviewed Frank Warren last week on Clubhouse Boxing.
Very interesting, that.
Yeah, and and Frank Warren said we've got Fabio Wardley out in April. We've got Tyson Fury out in April. Derek Chisora has now hinted that him and Deontay Wilder are boxing in April. So it's going to be a very busy month for the heavyweights for sure. But I think we get Fury Makhmudov. Then I think Fury boxes Fabio Wardley after Wardley's fight, because they'll be boxing at the same sort of time.
So
I think Fury, Fabio Wardley, late summer. And then I think early part of next year, because of Anthony Joshua, and we don't know where he's at now, and we've got to give him time to decide exactly what he wants to do. But if he does come back, he's got to have a chance to get in the ring as well. And I think then we get Fury versus Anthony Joshua, and that will probably fall in the springtime of next year, only because of what's happened with Anthony Joshua.
With my thinking at the moment is it doesn't actually need to happen at Wembley. It doesn't need to wait for the spring. It could be indoors in Las Vegas. It could be at the Allegiant Stadium with the roof closed in Las Vegas.
Yep.
It could be in front of 60,000 people in a closed arena somewhere, anywhere in the world, if they get the right streaming.
Don't you think that fight needs to be in Britain, though?
No, I don't
Do you
anymore.
not?
I did at one time. I think.
Is there value in America?
I think there is value. Okay.
What, off
Wouldn't
the
you
back of
enjoy
Anthony
travelling
Joshua and
over?
Jake Paul, you think his popularity built out there?
Yes,
That is for
I do.
sure.
I
He
do.
built a lot of fan base out there. That is for sure. Whether people like it or they don't like it, I think he was a little bit of an unknown quantity.
Well,
when
he was a
went out there.
failure, actually, from
Yeah,
2019 against Andy Ruiz.
Yeah.
This was the rebirth of Anthony Joshua
It
in
was.
America. I mean, we did tiny little interviews with him after that event. They did millions of views. The love for Anthony Joshua in America, because they'd forgotten about him, the classiness of the man, even though he had to break Jake Paul's jaw in the process and earn 50 million or whatever it was. Obviously it was a horrible mismatch, but it was fascinating to be there. The Netflix executives loved Anthony Joshua. We know the Netflix executives love Tyson Fury. He's just doing a second series with them at home with the Furies too. For me, it's all about the giant streaming right now, and that's what's coming on board, and that's what's happening. I think we'll see Netflix. I think we'll see YouTube. I think we'll see Amazon. I think we'll see all of these giant apps mobilizing, because boxing is the kind of surgical drama and theatre that you don't get in many other places.
Well, here it is. I know that Anthony Joshua is contracted to DAZN. I know that, and with Eddie Hearn. But like you said there, Netflix is a huge player and they like the big fights. And I think they're only going to come in and out of boxing with these huge fights and huge characters. Do you believe that Anthony Joshua versus Tyson Fury could land on Netflix? Is that a possibility, Gareth?
I think so. I really do think that they are coming on board now. And I do. Netflix have done 4 events in 30. They did 4 events up to December last year in 13 months, 200 million views. And subsequently picked up whatever it was, 8 million new subscribers at £10 a month.
Well,
that is enormous amounts of money.
I think
it won't be lost on the other giant apps and streaming services.
Sure, I think the way that it worked was that Netflix paid DAZN 100 million for Anthony Joshua to be able to box on Netflix, but they earn out of that with new subscribers and whatnot 2 billion. With new subscribers, so it was good business, wasn't it?
Yeah, and just finally, because we've got a break, the heavyweight division, Fabio Wardley we've discussed, Alexander Usyk, Ajit Kabayel at 2. He could fight Filip Hrgovic, he could fight Murat Gassiev, that would work in Germany. Yep. There's great opportunities there. Daniel Dubois, number 3 in the Ring Magazine rankings, against Zhile Zhang at 5. That's a really good fight.
I'm hearing that could possibly be April as well.
There you go, April as well, yeah. And then Moses Tama we see on March the 28th. I think we're going to be there for that against Jermaine Franklin. And that kind of wraps up the division in lots of ways. Joseph Parker's out at the moment, of course. We've kind of covered the top 10 there in many ways. Richard Torres and Efe Ajagba, Martin Bakole being the ones we haven't discussed as having a fight. You could also put Filip Hrgovic in with Ajit Kabayel as well. That's a good fight.
Yeah.
So the division's interesting, and the fact that Usyk's in America at the moment and around Zuffa and TKO and Dana White and Turkel Al-Sheikh, I think is fascinating. Frank Warren's going to make some big fights soon. Eddie Hearn could get back in the picture with young Johnny Fisher potentially challenging Jamie TKV for the British title after Jamie's fantastic victory over Fraser Clark. What was that, 2 months ago now?
Yeah.
It's on fire.
The heavyweight division right now is still very much stacked. And do you know what we're at? We're at the changing of the times where we have the new generation of fighters coming through. Fabio Wardley picking up the world title. Moses Atauma, will he be the next heavyweight star as we all think he will? But the other generation are still hanging in there. We got Deontay Wilder coming back. We need the characters still to build this younger generation. Deontay Wilder, Tyson Fury, Anthony Joshua, all possibly fighting again this year. I mean, what a great time for heavyweight boxing. And we see some great fights. And do we see some of the young ones boxing the old ones, the passing of the baton? Historically, that's how it always happens. It's an interesting time.
It's a very interesting time. You're listening to Fight Night and watching Fight Night on talkSPORT if you're on TV watching it. We will be back after this. George Liddard joins us for the next half an hour to talk about his greatly progressing career.
Fighting out of Billericay, Essex, England, the Billericay Barber, George Liddard.
This is a really mature and polished performance from George Liddard at this stage. Keeps missing, and Liddard keeps landing.
I'm the new youngest British middleweight champion ever. Yitter.
Yes, he is, George Liddard, enjoying the scenes here in the studio, the youngest British middleweight champion ever. You used to have to be 21 to fight for for a British title. You couldn't fight till you were 21. I'm going back to the 70s now. Did you know that?
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, you had to be a certain age because
Really?
Yeah, because
I won a European when I was 20. That was in the 90s.
But back before there was a limit on it all.
Oh, really?
Yeah, exactly. But boxing's progressed. George Liddard, the undefeated English professional middleweight boxer, who is the current British and Commonwealth middleweight champion, age 23, looking very dashing tonight. We are with you for the next half an hour. Let's get straight to it. How on earth did you get into boxing?
Listen, I feel like I was born to do this, you know. My dad kind of got me into it at a very young age. It was more just for confidence, you know, when I was a kid. I think it's an important thing to learn discipline, you know, and I think you learn to respect your elders, you know, your coaches growing up. And I think that's why my dad got me into it, really. Just always loved the sport. And here we are now, you know. Yeah.
What age was you, George, when your dad first took you down the gym? Because I remember going in there when I was like 7, I think it was, something like that. It's quite an intimidating place, to be fair. And I got my backside kicked as well the first time I went in there, because that's generally what happens when you go in the gym, right? They want to see if you've got any character. But what 100%. Age was you?
I think I was about 8 when I first ever walked into a proper boxing gym. 8, maybe turning 9. I always, you know, hit pads since I could walk with my dad. We always had boxing sets, pad sets growing up. That's just how it was. Even used to fight with my little sister. I'll tell you what, she's got a whack on her. Character building that was too. But yeah, listen, like you said, when you first come down the gym, you got to take a few beatings to kind of learn your craft. You start getting it in the face and you think, I need to learn how to protect myself a little bit here, learn how to defend, and then next thing you know, you're defending shots and slipping them.
Now, you're known as a West Ham superfan. Did you grow up playing football and boxing?
I played a bit of football for my school.
Not playing boxing, because you can't play boxing, but playing football and boxing.
I played a bit of football for my school, but I never really had time to... I played more rugby, to be honest. Always been a West Ham fan. Didn't really grow up in a massive football household, though. I kind of found that myself, you know, our kids do match attacks, FIFA, that kind of thing. I just kind of fell in love with football that way, but... To be honest, like, it's only since obviously I've been old enough to kind of take myself over to West Ham, and a big thanks to obviously one of my sponsors, Terry Rendell, who takes me over there, you know, most weekends now, that I kind of fell in love with it more. You know, it's fun watching it on TV, but actually being there, being around the people, you know, it's a social event too, seeing everyone that you see week in, week out. And
painful at the moment or not?
Well, it could be the great comeback here, because we're on 3 back-to-back wins, you know. We beat Spurs last weekend away. Big win today, which I literally rushed straight from sparring this morning to get to.
3-1 today, Sunderland.
3-1 today against Sunderland, which I got there and it was 1-0. I couldn't believe me luck. You know what I mean? But then, knowing West Ham fashion at the minute, you know, we go into the second half ahead and we end up losing. So, but, you know, we got the job done today. I was very happy.
Let me ask about your rugby as well, because it's a sport I played, the sport I love, and Spencer would have been an amazing hooker in rugby, wouldn't he? Can you imagine? Can you imagine him in the middle of the pack?
About rugby, mate.
Rugby.
I got my wires crossed a little bit then, you know what I
mean? Easy. We're not Billericay right now. Tell us about your rugby playing days then.
So
where did you play?
Yeah, so I played winger in, I think it was year 7 and 8, and then I think it was year 9 that they introduced a flanker. So I'd be on the edge of the scrum, and basically as soon as the scrum was over and someone had the ball, it's my job to run straight at them full pelt and try to take them out, because I weren't a big kid, but I was quite agile, I was sharp, and you know,
you like the ruck. You like the rucking.
I like getting stuck in, let's put it that way. That's why, to be honest, I never really got too far in football, because I would have got myself sent off a few times, let's put it that way, you know.
I was the same at school, to be fair. Like, I was in the school football team and the rugby team as well, but I used to enjoy playing rugby much more than the football. I think it's the physical aspect of it, innit? Because when you're coming from that boxing background, that's the sort of that competitive edge that you enjoy, innit? Like, you've got 3 or 4 geezers on your back and you're still trying to run with a ball.
That was one of my favourite parts of it. You know what I mean? Just trying to plan my way through, just one way or another. I see a few big lads, just boom, get stuck in.
So you progress, you get into boxing, you go to the gym, you found the respect levels that the sport gives you. Was it just fun first of all? Was it a hobby first of all? And at what point did you think, do you know what, this could be my professional life?
Do you know what? Look, I've took it serious the whole time I was an amateur. You know, I never really missed a session. I was the first in, last out as much as I could. I always trained hard. Did I really enjoy it at times? If I'm being completely honest, I didn't always enjoy it.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, like there was times when I was young that I feel like I wish I enjoyed it more. I put so much pressure on myself to perform, to impress my dad, that really it got like, at one point, you know, I didn't really want to do it. It was like, I loved winning, but I hated losing. And like, I just felt like I was letting everyone down every time I lost. And, you know, it was more I wish I enjoyed it more at times. You know,
What was the changing point for that then? Where did you get over the hump, get over the wall with that then?
I mean, I just stopped losing. I started winning.
Yeah, I mean, do you know what it is, George, as well? I think that, because I went through that as well, you go through that stage, when you hit about like 14, 15 and all your mates are going out and, you know, it's all about going to parties and drinking and, you know, meeting girls and all of that.
14,
you feel like,
15.
Yeah, that's what it all right.
I won't like that in Billericay, mate.
No, but that's when it all begins, right? I mean,
No, I know what you mean.
for him, but I'm just saying, that's when it all begins. And you go like, you start missing that then teenage years, 16, 17, and then like, you know, everyone's having a great time and you feel like you're missing that part of your life. And that is a big commitment,
100%.
you know, when you're giving that up, you go, because you don't know where boxing's going to lead you and you don't know what path it's going to lead you on. And you go, right, now you're committing yourself to give up all your childhood to go for a sport where you might not even achieve anything. You might not even get there. And I think that's the driving force behind where you're sort of at today because of the sacrifices you've got to make.
100%. You know, it's all about sacrifice in boxing. And like you say, to be honest, for me, I was a little bit of a late bloomer in that respect. I never really went out too young. And then
He's like 16.
lockdown
16,
happened.
17.
No, do you know what? It was, 17, turning 18.
Right.
When lockdown happened, boxing kind of just all of a sudden stopped. It had been there my whole life. And then all of a sudden, amateur boxing just weren't really a thing. You know, I got picked for the European Championships, never got to go. And I'll be honest, it put me in a really, really dark place for a while because my whole identity, my whole life had been a boxer. And all of a sudden now it's like, well, I don't have that. So what am I? I almost had to find myself, do you know what I mean? And I found myself going down the wrong path for a bit, making some bad decisions. And then I found God and, you know, now I'm here, and that's I thank God for that. You know,
we had Jimmy in Jimmy Signs, your stablemate, if you like, the matchroom. Can I call it the matchroom stable? The matchroom stable with Tony Sims. We'll come on to that in a minute.
Boxing, Jimmy.
We asked him last week because it's a similar thing. He got into it at an early age, and he said, "You guys are great pals," and he says he beats you up in sparring. You should have been listening last week. He said he beats you up in sparring.
Okay,
you have great spars anyway. You don't. You're great pals, and also, by the way, he was saying, I couldn't fight. I need him to move on so I can move up. Like there's a great respect level there that Spencer understands when you're like brothers in a gym. Very hard to really fight each other in a bona fide fight as opposed to sparring or training. We asked him last week, what were the things that you look back on now? He's still a very young man at 23. What are the things you look back on that really taught you that are in your minds now for your life?
Oh, it's a good one, really. For me, like, it's self-belief. I never had that growing up, you know. It weren't
remarkably.
Yeah, I never had self-belief, you know. I doubted myself, and I think to an element that's the reason I am where I am today, because I think there's a good element of doubt in yourself. I think you look at all the best fighters, I think everyone still doubts themselves to some degree because they think they can do that bit more, and I think that's what makes the great fighters great. When I get in the ring and I'm ready to fight, nowadays, there's just pure confidence by the time I'm in. But when I finish my camp, I'm walking to the ring. I do not believe there's a man alive that can beat me. Whoever gets in the ring in front of me is losing that night. But it wasn't always like that. And I wish that I kind of had that from younger, you know?
We're going to carry that on into your career, and Spencer's going to get into that with you next. You're listening to Fight Night on talkSPORT. George Liddard's with us, Spencer Oliver's here. We will carry on after this. Welcome back to Fight Night on talkSPORT. I'm Gareth Davies, Spencer Oliver, George Liddard, the youngest ever holder of the British and Commonwealth middleweight titles. He's 23. He's sporting a goatee and a Zorro-like moustache tonight as well. He's with us till the top of the hour. We were just talking, gents, about the self-belief, about the imposter syndrome you feel at times, and you've kind of alluded to that you've had to go through that during your career already. We saw a different you, to talk about your career now, in your last fight against Kieran Conway. You put it on him. We knew it was going to be a great fight, and you really produced. Did that just come out of you in that last fight, or is that a growth spurt for you?
I think it was a real coming of age for me. You know, I felt different last fight week. I walked into it to be honest, in a fight where really I probably should have been my most nervous. I was my most confident. And it just felt like it was my time. I looked him in his eyes and I just looked and I thought, this is my time, you know.
You know what? Every fighter goes through that, and they don't. You think you're on your own with that, you know, that self-doubt, that self-belief, or that lack of belief in yourself. Do you know what I mean? When you're going through that moment, you think that's just you, but every single fighter does that, and it's the ones that can turn that negative into a positive that kick on and come through. 100%. And it is that coming of age fight. Now, we was there at your last fight when you got that opportunity against Kieran Conway, who's a tough kid and a tough guy to beat as well, and you dominated that fight. But what you done was you seized the moment. You went in there, and like you said, you go, I felt my most confident going in there because you took all that negative energy, all that doubt. When we're talking about the sacrifices you had to make, like giving up your childhood when all your mates are going out, going to football games and all that sort of stuff, and you're there in the gym and you're starting to not enjoy it, but then you've come through that moment. Now you get your opportunity as a professional as well. And that's the mark of a good champion, that, because you go, when you're walking into a ring with that confidence, you go, and the other kid's walking in there and he's feeling nervous. Nervous energy, like people can't work out what that is. No. When they're nervous, they think they're scared, but it's not. They're not scared. That's just adrenaline pumping through your body. And if you can turn that into a positive, that's how champions are made. And that's what you seem to have went through.
It's excitement too. That's what I think I've identified it now as it's not all nerves. Listen, I'd be lying if I said I didn't have any nerves on fight day. If I didn't have nerves, I shouldn't be boxing because I don't care. Mm-hmm. If anyone says I don't get nervous, they're lying. They're a psychopath. They need to be checked. Do you know what I mean? Because nerves is a good thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's excitement. It drives you.
But it's how you channel that. That's the point, though. Like, because some of them, it can defeat them.
Yeah.
Right. So some of them kicked him on, and we saw that in your last performance there against Conway, because you come out there and you dominated.
And you stopped him.
Yeah.
And you said you were going to stop him. That was the thing about it. And he is a beast as well, you know? I mean, I saw that as a 50-50. You won't agree with me, but...
No, I can see why people saw it.
It was a step up.
In my mind, it was never.
13-0 now, 8 knockouts. Yeah. I mean, I haven't got any notes here. When are we going to see your butterflies in formation next time?
I'm not 100% sure yet. Nothing's been confirmed. I'm hoping it's early this year. You know, I got itchy knuckles. I can't wait to get back out.
I think why you was underdog there, mate, was because it was the proven versus the unproven. Yeah, you had the potential, but you don't know we don't know what George Liddard's going to be like when he gets into round 10, and it's hard because Conway's that kid, and he will stick in there, and he makes it hard for anyone. He's a big guy, he's strong, and he's experienced. We don't know if George Liddard's going to come to pieces. You don't really know that yourself because you're testing that yourself. When you're going into that, you go, when you've not been in that position in a ring, you go, like, I don't know really where I'm at with that, at that sort of level, because it was a stepping stone for you. You've never been at that level, and he's been there before. So that's a big win, that. Like, when you go through the layers of it all and where it's at, you actually got to take a lot of praise for that, because you go, he knows what that is, and you didn't.
So let's start. Who do you want next? Where do you want to go? Is it someone chasing you, or are you chasing someone? Because I'm going to test you in a minute in the studio, because we're going to go through the whole of the middleweight division in the world, and I want some answers on it.
Okay.
And they're going to be tough questions. Where do you want to go at the moment?
For me, I'm at a point where, listen, a lot of people, when they win the titles, they become the hunted. I do not feel like that. I'm still young. I'm still hungry. I've still got massive aspirations in this sport. I'm still hunting people and chasing my own goals down. I will fight anyone, domestically, internationally. I will fight any man they put in front of me. But it's my team's job to make the right fights at the right time, and I understand that. That's the business behind it.
But what you've done now, George, which you may not realise yet, but you're going to soon realise, is now you have a big target on your
100%.
Because when you got the British and Commonwealth titles, mate, you are the hunted. Like, you know what I mean? You've been the hunter. Now you are the hunted, because people want them belts. You know that stands for something.
So let me ask you about being in that Tony Sims gym, Daniel Dubois there, I say Jimmy Signs is there. I'm trying to think of the other. Conor Benn is there. It's a big resonant stable with a lot of big personalities and egos and characters, some great characters as well. And I've known Tony probably 30, we've both known Tony 30 odd years. He's a fantastic headmaster, knows the nuts and bolts of the game. Talk to us about what it's like for you being in that environment, what you enjoy about it, the stories about some of these people I mentioned.
I think I'm very fortunate to have made my debut under Tony Sims's gym and to have gone straight from the amateurs into Tony Sims's gym, because the amount of experienced fighters that I've almost grown up in the boxing world now around in the professional game and took things from, like you said, Conor Benn.
What have you learnt from him?
Conor's work ethic is, I said to Conor, if anyone's ever going to challenge your work ethic and try to be the hardest man to work in the gym, it'll be me.
Did you spar with him?
We used to spar a lot.
You bash him
Listen,
up?
I'm a big old middleweight now, so I don't blame him if he don't want to spar me anymore. I'm 23 and I'm a big old middleweight these days. So, and listen, Conor's going back down to welterweight. He's got business to handle there, rightly so. And we have a good bit of back and forth, me and Con. He says he won't talk to me because I ain't in the top 10. But listen, I say to him, he's got a big money name on his head and he's in my division at the minute. So,
what are the things that stay in your head, in your mind, that Tony Sims passes on to you? Because he's someone you listen to when he talks. He doesn't talk a lot, Tony, but when he talks, you listen. What are the things that stick with you?
Listen, Tony's guided me to a British and Commonwealth title in my 13th win at 23 years old. It's not that heard of in the middleweight division to do it so quick and to obviously do it so young. I'm the first and the youngest to hold those. Tony got me there. So I trust everything that every decision he makes for my career in terms of who I fight next. I wholeheartedly trust my team and Tony that's the right move for me. But Tony's just always kept me grounded, listen, I'm my bit harshest critic as it is anyway, but Tony knows when to kind of, humble me a little bit maybe, tell me, listen, you still got a long way yet, a long way to go. And he also knows when the right time to be like...
When he sees your confidence dipping, to give you a little pat.
100%. And listen, we all go through little...
We have to do that with Spencer a lot.
Do you know what, that's important though? I spoke to Darren Barker about that as well. He said exactly the same about Tony. It's like you got to know when... He's got to know when to rev you up and, when to kick you up the backside. And he's also got to know when to give you a cuddle and know and all that. And Tony's very, very good at that. He's got that experience. He's been there, seen it, done it. And Darren said exactly the same as you there. And I think the importance of that is unbelievable because you're effectively putting your life in his hands every time you get in there. Because,
100%.
You're going to go in there and we know what it's like. It's military. You're a fighter and that's the way that you're trained. So you're going to go in there. And even if it's going wrong and it's getting hard, you need someone to say, no, listen, son, it's time to fight another day, or whether to push you on again. Tony's got that experience, and that's important.
And that timing, knowing when to hold them, when to fold them, that Spencer's on about there, that timing thing, we're going to test you with right now.
Okay.
If they said to you tomorrow, Chris Eubank staying at middleweight, what happens if you step in the ring with him right now? Do you beat him?
I'll destroy him. I'll be honest. Listen, he was a good fighter, but... my time's now. This is my time to come through.
Right, we're gonna. It's all middleweights.
Yeah, I've got some. I've got some
here. Good. So Yanibek Alimkhanuly, Erislandy Lara, Carlos Adames. Who's the best of those three? Because Yanibek Alimkhanuly holds 2 belts in the middleweight division, world titles at the moment. Who's the best of those three, and who would be the hardest guy for you to step in and face?
In my opinion, Yanibek is the hardest out of those three. I think he's the hardest fight. Adames, very slick fighter, also a hard night's work. Listen, there's never going to be an easy night to win a world title, but out of the three, I think you've got Amo Williams fighting Erislandy Lara. Lara's an incredible fighter, but is it the back end of his career now? Is he the same fighter he was when he fought Canelo, 10 years ago, whenever? I don't believe so. So I do think he potentially is the weakest.
And you're 12 in that division right now, in that sanctioning fight right now.
I am.
Yeah.
So let's
closing in.
Let's get to nearer where you are right now, right? So now you're the British and Commonwealth champions. We're going to talk about some British fighters here,
okay?
Right. Let's start off with Denzel Bentley, WBO #1. Now that's a tough fight, Denzel Bentley. How do you rate him?
Denzel Bentley,
good fighter. Probably the hardest domestic fight right now that there is, and the best one,
And what about Shaquille Thompson, 15-0?
Do you beat him though or not?
I beat him. Listen, I got me and Denzel have a lot of respect, but if I didn't believe I'd beat him, then I'm in the wrong sport. I do believe I'd get the job done. Shaquille Thompson, unproven, hasn't really got a standout win for me. Scheduled to fight Brad Pauls, and that'll be a very interesting one.
Aaron McKenna,
good fighter.
We don't know how good he's going to be yet.
We don't.
You're
We
both
don't.
on the same trajectory.
Listen,
aren't you?
that's a collision course waiting to happen at some point. England v Ireland.
Wonderful fight.
I'm going to give
wonderful
you one.
fight.
I'm going to give you one, which is a nice fight because this is all about now you building and passing in a baton and all that. Tyler Denny, the
Right.
kid who's a little bit of a Cinderella man, Tyler. Where he come from? You know, he kicked on, become European champion. He's at that stage of his career now, and it may be starting to decline. Good name on the resume.
Listen, former European champion, been in there and beat some good names domestically. I think that's a great fight for me. Probably next, a great fight next, to be honest.
It's been a very fast. You got to hold them, we got to fold them right now because it's time to go for the news. It's been great to have you on,
Thank
George. A British and Commonwealth middleweight champion. We wish you all the best. I think it's your first time in the studio with us on Fight
My
Night.
debut on talkSPORT.
You enjoyed it?
Mate.
Yeah, I loved it. I've loved it.
We've loved having you on as well. Thank you so much
you.
for coming in, sir.
Another
We will
victory
see
by
you
KO
soon.
there, mate.
Come on, you know.
You're
Appreciate that.
listening to Fight Night and watching Fight Night on talkSPORT. Thank you to George Liddard. Me and Spence will be back after this.
Formula One. It's a sport often seen as insular and elitist, but it's seen a meteoric rise under its owners Liberty Media, not only in popularity and viewership, but in the ability to almost print money. From greater access to more races, here's how it happened. For decades, Formula One was owned and run by one man, Bernie Ecclestone. He was old school, someone who thought the sport itself was enough, and there was no need for all this modern marketing and social media nonsense. But in 2016, Ecclestone agreed to sell his baby to American group Liberty Media. It cost Liberty Media $4.4 billion, and they quickly got to work. We got an F1 app almost immediately, and teams were allowed to show us more from behind the scenes. One of Liberty's most important deals was with Netflix, which in 2019 brought us Drive to Survive. The effect? An almost 70% rise in viewership for races in the US alone. It's massively benefited Formula One online too, with a rise from 7.8 million followers across its social media platforms in 2016 to around 50 million today. New eyes are on the sport too, with F1's own subscription TV channel, which people can watch anywhere in the world. But the main market they've tapped into is the US. There's now 3 races there a year, in Texas, Miami and Las Vegas, and an American-branded team, Cadillac, getting involved in the sport too. More races seems to be the direction of travel. A street circuit in Madrid's being welcomed onto the calendar, while conversations around a Grand Prix in Africa have ramped up in the last few years. More big events could be in the offing too, after the massive F1 75 season launch event in London in 2025. 7.5 million people tuned in to watch it live across the social media channels, and that doesn't include the viewing figures for where it was broadcast on TV in certain countries. It seems Liberty will do whatever they can to grow the F1 brand. Their efforts have been worthwhile too, with Forbes valuing the sport at $17.1 billion back in 2023, almost 4 times more than what they bought it for in 2016. Not bad, considering it's seen as a sport where people just drive around in circles.
Welcome back to Fight Night on talkSPORT. I'm repeating myself as the microphone came on. Zuffa Boxing we are talking about next. The inaugural Zuffa Boxing event #1 in Las Vegas in the early hours of this morning, late last night on the west coast of America. Leo Atang, the young heavyweight, joins us in this hour. How far has boxing come in the last decade? We look back to 2016. How many world champions do we have? We had many world champions, and we've got many right now. We'll look back on the 10 years in boxing, and also we've got a studio guest towards the end of the hour. Mark Nielsen of TM14 Promotions joins us, and he's steeped with his family in boxing. You're listening and watching Fight Night on talkSPORT. Right, Spence, I stayed up to about 5 o'clock this morning to watch the inaugural event. Dana White featuring front and centre his cooperation, his partnership with Turki Al-Sheikh. They say they're going to take over boxing in America. It's caused a lot of consternation. For me, if I can just put it out there, last night, it was like a Gen Z show, a next-gen show that Eddie Hearn would put on, or Frank Warren would put on, in a small hall at the Meta Apex, the performance centre, the little venue that they have for 1,000 people that Dana White's saying they're going to have in there. Callum Walsh getting a victory, young Merriweather, a prospect, a great prospect. The guys got their bonuses. It was a very average start, but I think the jury's out. But I think we can see that they've started slowly with a soft launch, and it will just get better. How did you see it?
Yeah, I think that if you look at the driving force that's behind Zuffa Boxing with Turki Al-Sheikh, TKO, Dana White, yeah, they're going to be huge players in the sport. That is for sure. That is for sure. But I was very underwhelmed last night. I was expecting something more, something different. I thought the production was going to be different. We was going to see something new. You know, we got some 50-50 fights there, but they weren't particularly great. I thought Callum Walsh didn't look particularly great either. He got the victory, but it was just one of those nights that where I was expecting more, I felt it was very flat. There wasn't much atmosphere there. And I think the production, I thought we was going to see something new, Gareth. And that was what it is. Yeah, I get that they're going to grow and it's early stages and there's teething problems and all of that. And Dana White even addressed that in the press conference afterwards. He recognises that he's still got a long way to go. But it's about, making a statement. And for me, I was slightly underwhelmed.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, through the prism of Dana White, there's obviously huge publicity. We know what he's done in the last 30 years with the UFC. It's the biggest sports franchise in combat sports. There's no question about that. It's one of the biggest sports franchises in the world. It's monolithic. When you combine it with the WWE and Slap and all the other things they do, it's $7 billion deal with Paramount over 5 years. It's enormous. It's an enormous machine. And I was pleased to see him acquiesce to the fact that he wasn't that happy with it. It can only get better. But I do think, like you say, with Dana White, with Turkey Al-Sheikh, they are powerhouses in the sport. They have vast pockets to be able to identify the great matchmaking. There was good matchmaking last night. The fights were good, but we didn't know anything about any of these guys. There was no star power on there. And even though Callum Walsh won, he's moved up to middleweight. There's a lot of pressure on him in many ways. And it reminded me of a decent York Hall show that didn't really spark into life because we didn't get loads of knockouts and thrilling fights. We had good boxers on there, but it was a long night of boxing. I'm glad he's addressed that. I don't think we'll get that next time. We've got some big events coming up.
Yeah.
Jai Opetaia, who I spoke to on Friday evening, and he was there last night, told me that move, I think we can hear him here, that move to Zuffa and Dana White is a big, big move for him, and they'll make him a big star. Have a listen. Oh, there's nothing there at the moment, apparently, because our producer hasn't got it ready. But we'll see it in a little while. But he was saying, he was there ringside, it's a big, big move for him. He's a big name they've signed. He can be a big hit in the cruiserweight division, and they can take him up to the heavyweight division.
It is a big move for him because there's a powerhouse behind it. Dana White, has come into boxing, love or hate him. What he done with the UFC model, over 25 years, and building it from scratch into what it was, into this multi-billion-pound business, and the fights that he put on, he's done an incredible job. So he's going to be a big player in boxing for sure. Turkey Al-Sheikh, we know, is already proven. He is the most powerful man in boxing now. He's giving us the best against the best, and that's exactly what we wanted. But I think the longevity of their game plan, what they were planning on doing, getting it all under one umbrella and putting the Zuffa belt up and taking all the other governing bodies away and all of that, I think they've now come to recognise that it's not going to be able to do that anytime soon. To get these big fighters, people like Jai Opetaia, these fighters go on there. Jai Opetaia, he's desperate to become undisputed cruiserweight champion. That is his dream, and he says before he moves up to heavyweight, that's what he wants. He won't sign a contract if all of a sudden he's going to lose those belts and boxes. The long-term plan that they've got is a huge ask, but it's possible with what's behind them. But the short-term game, to sign these fighters, Gareth, I think they've got to play the game and use the governing bodies, the WBA, WBO, IBF, WBC, and that's how they're going to build the brand.
Well, Dana White's acquiesced to that with Jai Opetaia. We can hear from him now because we've now got that little clip.
Being able to just chase the undisputed dream, that's something that I've always, wanted for a long, long time. So to be able to do that as well, and the way I'm sort of looking at it is I'll be the first undisputed with the Zuffa belt. You know what I mean? So it's an extra belt that I get to carry and, make history and sort of be the first one to have all 6 belts now. So it's exciting.
There'll be a bit of a war over the WBC belt because Mauricio Suleiman's come out and he's critical of the Muhammad Ali Revival Act, which Zuffa are trying to get across the line. I don't like. It's obviously going through Congress at the moment. It's not quite agreed yet, but it's passed the first bill, if you like. I don't like the 6-year contract that they can have with fighters. I like the fact that there's better insurance for them, better medical care, that they're going up to $200 minimum a round for boxing from 50. There's some good things in there, but we saw last night, they all have to wear the Zuffa boxing gear. They're not allowed to be individuals in that way. Where will sponsorship go? We know there was an action lawsuit against the UFC by fighters that total $375 million. There's a lot to play out here. That's the politics of this thing. But as Jai said, they're going to give him the opportunity to unify all the belts. From my conversation there that I had with him on my YouTube channel on Friday night, March the 8th he fights, WBC next, Noel Mikhailian, and then the winner of David Benavidez and Zurdo Ramirez, and then he goes to heavyweight. And after that, they make a name for him. They bring heavyweights to America. They will sign. The old adage, yesterday I was lying to you, today I'm telling you the truth, which is, we kind of promoters speak in boxing. We've always used that phrase, that the goalposts move.
Yep.
And they've realised in order to get it moving, yes, they can do it from the bottom up, but to do it from the top down, they need these big names. Like we mentioned earlier, if they sign Alexander Usyk.
Yep, absolutely. And the only way they're going to get these big names is if they offer them or present to them, unification bouts, undisputed bouts, and I think that's what they now recognise that they thought they could do without that. They thought they could start Zuffa boxing and with the Zuffa belt and take all the other belts away. But now they recognise, hold on a minute, that's going to take a little bit of time to develop this brand. We're going to have to work with the other governing bodies, the other promoters as well. Otherwise, the other promoters don't want to let their fighters fight on Zuffa boxing, and it becomes very complicated.
But they may not work with them, Spence. They may just buy people out when their contracts.
Yeah, but how long does that take, Gareth? And where do the opponents come from?
In principle, I believe I agree with you that they might as well work with other promoters, and I think they may well end up doing that.
I think they have to at the beginning.
But they can accelerate and facilitate those big fights. Then look what Turki Al Sheikh did in the last 2.5 years.
Listen.
He brought everyone together. He got the money right, money, timing, ego, got it all together, and he made the big fights. And we saw great fights. We've got one at the end of the month with Teofimo Lopez and Shaka Stevenson. We'll discuss that soon tonight. But there's so many massive fights. Ben and Eubank happening last year is as a result of Turki Al Sheikh. Once he mobilises and lights the fire under Dana White and gets him moving and gets him seeing the algorithm, because they cannot do what the UFC have done. They have to do it differently.
100%, and I think that's what they now recognise. Listen, Turki Al Sheikh has been huge for boxing, not just for us, but for the boxing fans, giving the fans what they wanted, taking the politics away, best versus the best, and we continue to get those fights. But now we've got something new going on again, and that's Zuffa boxing, and Turki Al Sheikh is behind that. And we've had conversations with Turki 2 years ago about this and about what he was trying to achieve and putting it all under one umbrella, taking these politics away, getting the fighters paid like he wants to get them paid. This is the beginning of it, but I think that what Turkey's now recognising after this first fight, and Dana White as well, is, hold on a minute, this is going to take a bit of time. This ain't going to happen in 12 months like we originally thought it could happen. This is going to take time to get everyone, and they will have to work with other fighters. That is the way that it is. Absolutely.
Well, we're going to get into the UFC event later on as well that's happening tonight. Paddy Pimblett, of course, facing Justin Gaethje at UFC 324 in Las Vegas. But up next, we have the young, promising and devastating heavyweight Leo Atang joining us live. back to Fight Night on talkSPORT. I do like my playlist on a Saturday.
It's one of my favourites. This is a good one. Shall we just enjoy this moment?
We'll get in trouble if we go any longer. You're listening and watching Fight Night on talkSPORT with me, Gareth Davies, and him, Spencer, the Omen, Oliver. Well, we have a live guest now. I believe he is ready. Yes, thank you very much, Harjot. We have Leo Atang, the young heavyweight boxer, joining us. Good evening, Leo Atang. Hello, sir. How are you?
Good evening. I'm just enjoying the tunes you had on.
Yeah, big sound that one, wasn't it?
It is,
we had to appreciate that moment.
I don't. Good. You probably weren't born when that came out, were you?
It's fine. I don't have a clue what the song is, but it just sounded good.
Brilliant.
We bopped to that. Well, I mean, he's 10 years younger than me, so he was a reckless youth listening to that, I think, in many ways. Leo, thank you for joining us tonight. Let me throw this at you straight away. I don't know if you've been listening to the show as well. We were just talking about Zuffa Boxing's first event last night from Las Vegas. Did you watch it? And could you and would you, without getting you in trouble with your promoter, your manager, your agent, if they came looking for you and you were out of contract, would you just go there like Jaya Pataya's done?
I'm going to be completely honest. I had no idea what it was until I actually was just listening to the show before. Like, I'd seen something about Zuffa Boxing. I didn't know really what it was at all. But, I mean, I'm sure it's great for the sport, and I'm sure it's good to have, like, rival promotions and stuff like that. But, I mean, no, I'm happy where I am.
Yeah, you certainly are doing a great job at the moment, mate. And last time out in Ghana against Badu Youssef, another one-round demolition job, mate. That's 3-0, and every single one of those fights has ended in the first round. That's very impressive.
Yeah, I was happy with it. I think I know it's nice to look good, show everyone what I'm about, or I can get them out in the first round, but I know that definitely I do need the rounds. I do need to learn, get the experience, because that's the main reason you've turned pro early, not to just try look good, but obviously to learn and gain and, like, you know, learn the pro style early and get used to it.
Well, go on, Spence, carry on.
No, I was going to say, we're still saying that about Moses Atama, though. You know, if you're good enough, you're good enough. And, like, you know, Moses is still taking these people out in a round, 2 rounds. And you go, you know, where's the ceiling? When's he going to find that guy that can give him the rounds? And you seem to be starting to fit that role. I mean, world under-19 gold medalist. You won that out in USA. Turned pro, 18, 19 years of age. And you're just going through them like hot knife through a butter.
Yeah, it's fun. I turned early because I wasn't really getting fights in the amateurs, so I thought, I need to get some experience somehow, because I didn't want to have nearly a year out the ring, because I wasn't getting fights. I was entering the national championships. I wasn't getting any fights. No one was entering, so I thought, yeah, let's make the jump early and get some experience under my belt.
Yeah, just to put the to cross the T's and dot the I's. As Spencer said, the World Boxing 2024 now, obviously not last year. The World Boxing Under-19 Championships winner, the 90-plus category, makes you a super heavyweight. You're a 5-time national champion as well. You're 6'6". You're aiming to be a giant in the division at a time where I think, well, I don't care what anyone says, it's a really exciting time in the heavyweight division. Talk to us about Moses Itauma, who Spencer mentioned there, obviously was sparring with Joe Joyce when he was 15, famously, and has sparred with a lot of the big names in the UK. What do you do? Do you go around the gyms and get sparring with the big names here now?
That's the thing. That's the main goal for this year. You know, get in and getting as many rounds in as possible with these experienced pros and who've been there and seen it all. I've been getting the rounds in with quite a few big names, but we're going to keep doing it. Obviously, it's been hard because in my second fight, I took an injury, which wasn't the nicest things. These things happen, which kind of put me out of sparring for a bit, but now that I'm back in it and flowing again, I want to, definitely get the rounds in.
As Spencer mentioned, I think 3 fights, 3 first-round knockouts. The last one was against Babu Yusuf via TKO on December the 20th in Accra, Ghana. Upcoming bout, scheduled to fight Amin Bucheta on January the 31st in Newcastle. That obviously is a week tonight on the Josh Kelly card. Tell us about preparation for that. Tell us about where you are with it. Tell us about your opponent.
Yeah, it's been really good. Been a great camp. Been working on things which I needed to work on. Obviously, it's nice getting the first rounders in, but there's obviously we go straight back in the gym and we look back at what we could have done better and things we could improve on. So I've been doing that. Obviously watching your opponent, but I leave that to my coach. But they obviously he's seen things which I haven't seen, and so stuff I can work on, find openings in him. But yeah, overall, just very excited to get back out there and put on another show.
Why do you fight?
Don't know. It's fun, and I want to be world champions.
Are you too young to have looked into yourself as to why you've become a boxer and taken this path then? Does that not philosophically in your mind yet, or is it just natural what you're doing?
No, I think I was just a hyper kid. I just liked loads of sports, and then I just came here, and I was like, and I went into the gym, and I got absolutely I thought I was the man, and then I got battered, and I thought that was quite sick, so I carried on doing it, and then I just fell in love with the sport.
Yeah, do you know what? We just had George Liddard in the studio as well, just become British and Commonwealth champion. He said exactly the same thing. I said the same thing to him. I think that is your introductory period into boxing, isn't it? You go in a gym and you get battered, and it's whether you come back. I think that's what trainers do to see if you've got that appetite to do it. And then you always want to beat the guy that battered you, and you eventually get there and you kick on from there.
Exactly that. I think it's like I say, I always say every time if I'm asked that question, I always say it's. I think it's the part where it's a solo sport where if you lose, it's on you, and if you win, it's also you can give yourself obviously your team and everything as well. But you can almost no matter the outcome in the ring, it's down to you to do it. If that makes sense, like you ain't got to rely on another teammate to do something.
Yeah, it's all or nothing in it, and I love that. And I love that part of the sport where the highs are very high, but the lows are also very low. It's a roller coaster, man. It really is. And Leo, you've turned pro at a very young age. You've got an incredible career in front of you.
You're 19 next week, aren't you? By the way.
Yep, massive day, massive day.
Massive birthday, mate,
Still a teenager. Can you do it before Moses? Can you get a world championship under your belt earlier than Moses Taumer does it?
Let's do it. Let's try it.
Well, do you know what?
I'm probably going to get slapped on the back of the head from our managers now for saying that, but yeah, let's do it.
Well, Sonny Edwards is your manager, isn't he? Sonny, I know Sonny's part of your team, and it's a great guy to have in the team as well because he's been there, seen it, done it, and he knows the game inside out. But yeah, that's the question that I was going to ask you, Leo. I go, look, Moses Taumer is going through everyone like a hot knife through butter, as I just said. And you seem to be cut from that cloth as well, mate. Like, from what I've watched you, I've been very impressed, man. And I've normally got a good eye for fighters and, seeing them, you look at them and go, yeah, this kid's got potential. Some of them prove you wrong. The ones that you don't think can do it, kick on and do it because hard work, pays off. Hard work beats talent when talent don't work. But you got talent and you graft as well. And I think that is very impressive, man. You are one to keep your eye on.
No, and I appreciate that a lot. Thank you. But at the same time, I am grounded. I know I haven't beat anyone who's every fight is dangerous. Every fight, anything can happen. But I know I haven't been in with world beaters yet and people who are big threats in the division. But eventually we'll get there. And it's nice seeing that he wanted to become youngest world champion. I'll probably go down the slower route. I know that I've got a lot of time to, mentally and physically mature and stuff like that. So I'll hopefully take it one at a time and get each belt as it comes.
Yeah, that's very smart thinking as Spencer's tapping his head here. And I agree with you, with him and with you that there's no point rushing it. Timing's everything in our sport, of course, and the time will come. How exciting is it for you to be in this era of heavyweights? I mean, we're having a heavyweight chat at the beginning of the show tonight, and really 6, 7, 8, 9 of the top 15 are promoted by British promoters, several of them by Frank Warren. Fury, Chisora, Wardley, Itauma, Dubois. There are so many fights that you can have in the next 3 or 4 years in the blue ribbon division. Do you dream of that already?
Yeah, I think with everyone being around and everyone being so active, and I think it's the fact that everyone's willing to fight each other, and that's what makes it entertaining. So if I can, obviously, one day I'll get to there, but getting that mix, the fact that there can just be big fights, pretty much every month there could be big fights. I want to definitely be involved in all of that.
Yeah, I think it's very important to have dance partners. And like Gareth said there, the last 10 years, the last decade, we've had some big characters in the heavyweight division, and we seem to have some young characters now coming through with a lot of talent as well. And it's a good time to be a heavyweight. And Leo, you was my pick for ones to watch this year, actually. I said the kids that will emerge, the people who may not know your name now, Leo Atang, they will know it by the end of 2026. And I think I'm going to be right there, mate.
I'll take it.
Thank you take it, because you're a very grounded kid, and I can hear you're very reserved there. But like I say, you've got a lot of talent there, and I know that you work hard as well.
I had Sonny Edwards, Manny Pacquiao, and Deontay Wilder on stage at the IBA conference in Dubai in December, and Sonny was blown away that he was sitting on stage with Deontay Wilder and Manny Pacquiao. Sonny's a brilliant young person, and I think he's growing all the time. What are the wisest words that he's taught you so far, Leo, in your early career?
I think for me, he has just said to just embrace it all, to enjoy it all. Take it as it comes, but obviously you've got to live it and breathe it all the time. You've got to dedicate your life to it. But the main thing is, it's going to go fast. You just got to embrace it and enjoy it all.
Yeah, and that's wise words, mate, because before you know it, it's gone. You got to appreciate this moment and just work hard, mate. Like, when you have the talent and you graft as well, it's going to take you a long, long way. And you're very fortunate you're around at a time when heavyweight boxing is absolutely thriving, and we expect you to emerge out of them talents this year, mate. Good luck for 2026.
Thank you.
I'm not going to leave you quite yet, because I want to ask you a couple of questions about the heavyweight division, even though we're supposed to go to the break. Very quickly, Fabio Wardley or Tyson Fury, who wins?
I'll go Fabio.
Wow, interesting. Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua, who wins?
I'm going to go Anthony Joshua.
Zhilei Zhang and Daniel...
By the way.
Say again, sorry?
I'm not a Tyson Fury hater, by the way.
Okay. Zhilei Zhang and Daniel Dubois.
Dubois.
And finally, if it does happen, Derek Chisora and Deontay Wilder.
All right, gotta go Derek Chisora.
On that note,
I'm going with him on every one of them. Well done, Leo. That's wicked, mate.
Well, I will give my picks later. Leo, great to see you as always. Best of luck in Newcastle next weekend, and best of luck to Josh Kelly as well. Great for joining us. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you for having me.
Cheers, Leo. Leo Atang there. Well, up next, we will be discussing where boxing in Britain sat in 2016, 10 years ago. It's fashionable at the moment to look back a decade, and where we are now. We'll be back with that next.
going.
You're listening and watching Fight Night on talkSPORT. We have got our trance playlist from way, way long ago. We were young men dancing around all night till the dawn. Right, Spence, talking of which, 10 years ago, when we still weren't young men, in 2016, we made a list of this earlier. You can fill in the blanks here, okay?
Yep.
There were so many British world champions. It's very fashionable to look back a decade at the moment in lots of different spheres and areas and territories. Lee Hoskins.
Yeah, Lee Haskins,
sorry. Anthony Croller, Liam Smith, Terry Flanagan.
Yep. Kell Brook, Cole Frampton, Billy Joe Saunders, James DeGale, Tyson Fury, Anthony Joshua,
Lee Selby. These guys were all world champions. We might have forgotten people.
Terry Flanagan.
No, I mentioned Terry as well. There are people saying that, or will say that 10 years ago boxing was in ruder health here, but we'll come to 2026 now. We've got Jazza Dickens,
Nick Ball,
Fabio Wardley,
Dalton Smith,
Lewis Crocker,
Caroline Dubois,
Lauren Price,
Terry Harper,
Ellie Scotney. So it's quite healthy, and there's more to come. Hamza Shiraz this year, he could be elevated to a world champion. There's one of the things that I noticed the other day when Dalton Smith won against Subriel Matiz, the Puerto Rican in New York, and a brilliant performance. You and I haven't had a chance to speak about it together. It's been talked about as matching Lloyd Honeyghan against Donald Curry, Tyson Fury against Vladimir Klitschko, Kell Brook against Sean Porter, Ken Buchanan in the United States, John H. Stracey abroad. In all of those lists, everyone forgot Carl Frampton's win against Leo Santa Cruz. A lot of people didn't mention that, and that was in 2016.
It absolutely was. Yep, Carl Frampton, Leo Santa Cruz.
Great performance.
What a performance. Leo Santa Cruz was a pound for pound star there.
He was.
And Carl Frampton was an overwhelming underdog, and he went up there and he ripped up the script, and it was a performance that should be ranked up there as one of the greatest to ever do it on foreign soil.
I remember him saying so distinctly, and obviously he was with the McGuigans at the time, and obviously they've fallen out since, and it's a bitter feud now, but he boxed when Santa Cruz fought, and he fought when Santa Cruz boxed, and it was the most sublime performance. Yes, he'd beaten Scott Quigg in quite a one-sided fight in the end that we were all anticipating.
Yep.
But that performance against Leo Santa Cruz personally thrilled me as well.
Here it is in that performance against Santa Cruz, that I didn't think he could outbox him, and I didn't think he could outfight him either. And he beat him at both. He beat him convincingly at both as well. That was some performance. It really was, because I think that Cole Frampton, that was his coming of age fight in many ways. You know, he went on to have an incredible career, 2-weight world champion, but that is a standout performance for me.
In 2016, people were constantly talking about boxing being broken. They still say it today. 10 years on, has it actually fixed itself or just adapted? That's on the script here. It never was broken. It's always an unusual peaks and troughs algorithm.
It's a conversation that always comes up, and a line that is always thrown out: boxing is broken. What do you mean it's broken? You know, there's always an interest in boxing, and I think that if you look at 2016 to today and see how far boxing has come, with the involvement of Turki Al-Sheikh and taking those politics away. We talked about it earlier in the show, and the best fighting the best, and the big fights we're getting, and the success we're still getting as well. Boxing is not broken today, and it wasn't broken back in the day.
It's just different. I'm going to test you on 2016 in a minute as well. HBO's gone, Showtime's gone, Sky Sports box office has gone for now as well. So there have been residual changes, and through the prism of the digital age, because it wasn't as big then.
No.
We've talked about it tonight. The giant streaming platforms are now coming into their own. DAZN, obviously 2 years later in 2018 launched, and they're obviously a big player in it. But I want to test you on 2016.
Okay.
And It was the Rio Olympic Games. A British female won a second gold medal.
That would be a British female that won a second gold medal. That's a tough one.
Nicola Adams.
Nicola Adams.
Do you know who passed away that year as well on June the 3rd?
Go on.
The great, the GOAT, the greatest.
Muhammad Ali.
Muhammad Ali passed away. That was 10 years ago. Who was the pound-for-pound leader in 2016 of the sport?
The pound-for-pound
Who was
star.
being seen widely as the pound-for-pound leader by the end of 2016? Think hard. Think hard on this. Don't go Mayweather, Floyd Mayweather. Go someone else by the end of that year. Still undefeated.
See, I was going to go Mayweather. I was going to go Mayweather big. Go on, you're gonna throw it at me.
Andre Ward.
Andre Ward.
He'd beaten Kovalev.
Yeah.
At the T-Mobile Arena, the launch of the T-Mobile Arena, there was a big fight in 2016 in May. Who was it? You'd have been watching it.
In May.
In May 2016.
Canelo Alvarez.
Against... Come on.
I knew. Do you know why I knew it was Canelo Alvarez? Because it was May.
Fight at the T-Mobile.
It was
Cinco de Mayo. Cinco de Mayo
absolutely.
weekend. Yeah. Go on. Go on.
2016. Canelo Alvarez versus Floyd Mayweather Jr. No.
It's more obvious than that.
Really?
He had to win every second of every minute of every round to beat Canelo. He had to be on his game the whole time. He got horrifically knocked out.
Go on.
Amir Khan.
Amir Khan.
That's 10 years ago.
I can't believe that.
And who became a world champion in the April of that year and defended the heavyweight title twice?
Anthony Joshua.
Yeah, he knocked out Charles Martin.
That's right, and had the defence against Vladimir Klitschko.
Yes.
And that was at Wembley Stadium. That was 2017.
Correct.
Yep, so he knocked out... Who was the first defence for Anthony Joshua? Dominic Brazil?
There were three.
Dominic Brazil was before, wasn't he?
I haven't got it in front of me here, unfortunately. I don't recall, but I can call it up in a minute. There was a boxer from the Olympics signed by a disgraceful judging decision at those Rio Games as well.
Mickey Conlan.
Yes, well done. Yeah, signed by Bob Arum.
Yeah.
He put the finger up at the judges at the event. Quarterfinals against Vladimir Nikitin.
He should have got the gold that year.
He should have got the gold.
Robbery.
And it really led. That was the beginning of that series of
corruption in judging
and looking at
that's how
AIBA was run, and it was expelled from the Olympics.
Absolutely.
Obviously, it stayed in the Olympics, but it was the beginning of the expulsion process. Who won the super heavyweight gold at the Rio Olympic Games?
The Rio Olympic Games super heavyweight gold was Tony Yoka.
Yeah, very well done. Brilliant stuff. Back in 2016, a 20 to 30 million pound payday felt massive. It's still massive, let's be honest. In 2026, we're seeing numbers that would have been unthinkable. There's talk about Tyson Fury wanting 200 million to fight Anthony Joshua.
Yep.
Joshua earning 50 to 70 million for fighting Jake Paul in what was a freak show.
Yep.
Jake Paul earning 70 million for that. Has that changed fighter ambition and matchmaking over those 10 years, in your view?
Well, I just think that the fighters are getting more money now because I think that there's these new streaming sites that have come in. And if you look at the business module and the business behind this, with like Anthony Joshua, as you said, they're getting phenomenal money. But if you look at the grand scheme of things, and with the new subscribers that Netflix got off the back of Anthony Joshua versus Jake Paul and the money they earn, like, so I think Netflix was estimated that they get an extra £2 billion in subscribers. So when they're paying Anthony Joshua, say, 80 million and Jake Paul 100 million or whatever, it sounds a lot of money, but in the grand scheme of things, it's not a lot of money. And I think that's where the changing of it is now. And these boxers, like AJ, like Tyson Fury, you know, they were the two big names when Turki Al-Sheikh come in and showed his interest in boxing, and he wanted the big names, and Alexander Usyk, and they happened to be there at that time. Yeah, the money will start coming down again, but I think that, you know, it's the fighters are now getting the money that the fighters should have been getting many, many years ago, but it just wasn't there. And I think that it is a changing of the times that, you know, taking terrestrial TV out of it, and, you know, like Sky Sports is good because it does that pay-per-view module, and that's how they get the money for that. But I think that these streaming sites coming in now is a good thing for the boxers.
Yeah, it is. So in 2016, and I'm getting loads of messages from people saying, I'm really enjoying the Gareth A. Davis, Spencer Oliver boxing game show tonight, and they want to see it more regularly. You were enjoying this section, aren't you?
I do, because you know what? Because it
jogs your memory.
Well, you didn't tell me this was in the script.
Well, no, it wasn't in the script till I decided to do it.
I am enjoying it because I've got quite a good. Yeah, I've got a quite.
I think you've done very well. I think you've got at least a C- tonight, a 6 out of 10. Yeah, a 6
Give me another one then. Let me move up to a B. Give me one more.
Right, okay. We've got a break in a minute. I'm going to give you one question after the break.
All right.
Because we've got Mark Nielsen from TM14 Promotions joining us next. We're going to test him as well when he comes in, because he's got a big background in boxing. Thank you very much, Spencer. You're watching and listening to Fight Night on talkSPORT. Encore une fois, you are listening to Fight Night on talkSPORT. Oh my God, I love this playlist on a Saturday night. Joining us now, Nielsen Boxing. He's corrected me. It's not TM14 Promotions. It's Nielsen Boxing. It's Mark Nielsen. He's absolutely steeped in boxing. Talk to us about being the son of the former heavyweight boxer Eddie Nielsen, who, mentioning sadly, fought Joe Bugner and Frank Bruno. Mark grew up in the gym. Talk to us a little bit about those, because obviously Joe's just passed. I did a lot of work on Joe, and Frank's obviously still around. They're huge figures from British boxing. Tell us the stories about being around them.
And I was a young lad, actually. So my dad had us quite young. So they were kids really. He had my brother at 16, me at 18, my younger brother at 23. So when my dad was fighting, I was like a teenager by then. So we all grew up with it. I was in the gym from like 6 years old. I had my first fight at 11. I started to get to like 13, 14 years old, and my dad's still in the paper, the front page of the local press. He's fighting Frank Bruno, he's fighting Joe Bugner. It's pretty cool for a 14, 15-year-old lad to have your dad on the front page of the local. You got the Football Manager on the back page, my dad on the front page. He's on the Sun, he was in the Mirror. Pretty cool. Helps you get girlfriends.
Was he a bad guy being good?
Yes.
Or a good guy being bad?
Well, I don't know. But yeah, it was pretty cool upbringing, so pretty proud of Dad. It was great stuff. I was going to watch his fights at, he sort of did a comeback in like 1982. And so I was watching them fights. It was like at Colston Hall in Bristol, and I was there seeing these big guys. And my dad knocked him out in the third round, and then I saw another one knocked him out in the, whatever. We was at the Albert Hall actually for the Bruno fight. And, obviously Dad got beat, which is, as a teenager, you don't want to see, and you're a bit emotional about it. But the Bugner fight was one of Frank Warren's very, very early promotions as well. Blue Crest.
Before we get into your next event, Nielsen Boxing's 28th February, York Hall. We've been talking a lot about the heavyweight division tonight, and with Leo Atang on the show, and with Usyk in Vegas, and maybe signing with Zuffa Boxing, and Zuffa Boxing last night, because I want to ask you about that. And the heavyweight division, it feels very much alive, and we're talking about your father in the division. It was alive then. But how do you read the heavyweight division at the moment?
Well, it's really exciting, isn't it? We don't know what's happening with Tyson Fury. He's coming back, going to have a couple again. AJ's not done yet, is he? So he's still around. And you've got the new kids on the block, Itama and that coming up.
Wardley.
And Fabio Wardley, current world champion, he's going to be in the mix, and everyone's going to want that WBO belt. It's exciting. It never isn't exciting, is it, with the heavyweights?
I think.
I mean, everyone loves it, don't they? Sorry.
Yeah, I think it's always good, isn't it? Because I think that if you get the heavyweight division and it's absolutely buzzing, and it has been for the last decade, really, when you look at the big names like Deontay Wilder, Tyson Fury, Anthony Joshua, and all that carrying the heavyweight division, and now this young crop coming through as well, and the old guys still there very much as well. I think that trickles down through the sport, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Like, when you've got the heavyweights doing as well as they're doing, because you can have those quiet periods, and I think Klitschko's sort of fell into that where they never really had any competition, but it's healthy for the sport, isn't it? And I think we're seeing that on your shows now, because you're seeing these young kids coming through because they're inspired by that older generation.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's so much boxing now. Netflix, Paramount, it's everywhere. YouTube, this big YouTube amount with IVB, it's everywhere.
Do you believe in that or not?
Well, time will tell.
Yes,
it's very ambitious,
but time will tell with Zuffa Boxing as well, is what we've both said that.
Yeah,
because you will have watched that last night or the early hours this morning going, my shows at York Hall are more exciting.
Well,
can I say that?
You absolutely can, and I'll say it. Listen, I work with all of the promoters, all the domestic promoters over here, and I'll get on the so I can say if my show's better than theirs or not. And there's a lot of domestic promoters that've been on TV, and I think my show is better than that. They might have had the main event, but my undercard was far better than that. You look at Zuffa Boxing, it's their first one. It's
a soft launch. They've deliberately gone for a soft launch.
Yeah, so but it's Nawajaya Pattaya. I don't know what their model is. That's confused it a little bit.
No, I think yesterday we were lying to you. Today we're telling you the truth.
Yeah.
So they're gonna. We've discussed this tonight.
Yeah.
I mean, it's great to bring you in on this chat. They're going to utilise everything they've got to make top down and bottom up, and they'll meet somewhere in the middle.
It's a bit like the IVB. Give it 18 months, we'll know where we're at. Dana would have put on a lot of shows, a lot of his Zuffa Boxing shows on, and we'll know where we're at. But having another promoter in sport is only a good thing. There's more fights, more eyeballs, more money sloshing about. I don't know what the money's going to be like in a zoo for boxing. I don't think.
Well, they're getting 50 grand bonuses last night. Merriweather got a 50 grand bonus. A couple of the other guys.
Yeah.
Look, you've come all the way in tonight.
Yeah.
We mentioned the 28th of February, your next card.
Yeah.
Tell us about it and what you're doing for the rest of the year.
Well, massive year we got. I mean, we finished off last year 15 shows. We're probably the most dominant sort of promoter in the York Hall now. I think 8 of those were York Hall. I think we're the most prolific. Outside, you've got your Queensbury, you've got your Matchroom, your Wasserman, Boxer, a couple of big sort of DAZN promoters, and then we're there nipping at everyone's heels. We're the ones without the big budget, but we still manage to put on these.
It's on talkSPORT as well, isn't it?
Yeah, streaming on talkSPORT. So thanks for that, and that's getting brilliant. We're getting tens of thousands of views and more eyeballs, and our boxers are getting the coverage that some of them don't get when they're fighting on someone's small hall show in a hotel on a Sunday afternoon. So it's brilliant for them. But this year, we start off at the end of February. We've got Alfie Clegg, Sean Bruce in a British title fight. I've been promoted 10 years this year. This is our first British. So we've done area, we've done Welsh, we've done Celtic, English, Commonwealth. Never done a British. We've done an IBO World, but British is the one. So that's a British title fight. Alfie Clegg, Sean Bruce, he's a current middleweight champion, current sort of youth champion. Going to be a brilliant fight. And as you always get with our shows, top to toe, 50-50. So we're out in the end of Feb and then another 2 in March.
You're coming out of, though, the small hall. When you start putting on British title fights, then you're starting to move out of that small hall thing. And I know, Mark, that's, been your sort of dream. And I think that what you guys do, by the way, is the backbone of the sport. Because if your shows weren't going on, all these fighters, because you have fighters from Frank Warren's stable, from Eddie Hearn's stable, from Wasserman Boxing as well. They fight on your shows to keep busy, keep active. But one thing you can guarantee when you get down to the York Hall Bethnal Green on a Friday night or a Saturday night, whenever you choose to put them on, is you get those 50-50 fights and you get real boxing and you get real boxing fans in there. And I've got to say, mate, a lot of the time, 9 times out of 10, they're better than the shows that you see on TV because the kids leave. There's something magical about the York Hall and they leave it all in the ring. It's like every kid that fights on that bill, it's like their world title fight because they're striving to get to that next place.
I'm a fight fan first and foremost, and I will sit at ringside and I watch every single fight, even if I'm connected to the boxer or not. And, I want to leave that enjoying that night of boxing. So, so we've got I don't want to just go through show by show this year, but we've got some really exciting stuff going on because we're going to be probably another 15 shows. We're going to be making a big announcement in a couple of weeks. There's lots of announcements for boxing.
Around what? So
there's we're partnering with a sports tech company. So let me just explain this really briefly. I was at Frank Bruno, Tim Witherspoon, 1986 in the old Wembley Stadium. I was at AJ Dubois last year. Not a massive amount has changed, has it? A few more lights. Not a lot has changed. So we're working with a sports tech company, which is going to have a lot of technology, 36 cameras around the ring, a lot of in-fight activity going on, a lot being announced in the next couple of weeks. And it's going to change the fan and the viewer experience of watching boxing. Do you imagine you're watching something like Blade Runner or Total Recall and somebody said, right, you need to put a big title fight in the middle of that film. What would it look like? It wouldn't look like the shows that are now. There'll be in-fight activity on the screen, on the boxes. There'll be, when I'm watching a fight and it's close, I'm having to go to Twitter or my WhatsApp group to see what everyone else thinks.
So will this be visual, Mark? You'll see this on the screen?
And it will be showing you an awful lots of data and everything. It's going to be... There's going to be more money for the boxers, better experience for the viewers, for the people in the stadium. But what it's doing is going to give us this huge budget because we've got this massive investment. So we're now looking at doing shows at Copper Box for 5,000 to 6,000 people. We're looking at doing shows at Royal Albert Hall. And we're able to pay the boxers more with fight bonuses like you saw last night, 50-50 fights, and we can shake this all up. So you've got the big four promoters, and we're nipping at their heels, and we're going to be the next one behind them. So this, I'd love to come back on in a couple of weeks when it's all over the line and tell you more about it.
Well, it's fascinating. Yeah. So basically, forget about small hall. It's kind of medium hall you're going to right now.
Yeah, we need a new name for it, don't we?
Medium hall with all the glitz and glamour. Yeah, It sounds fantastic.
Yeah.
Mark, thank you so much for coming in tonight. It's great to see you. You managed to squeeze in about an hour and a half's worth of publicity in about 4 minutes there. It's great to see you as always. Your energy for the sport is extraordinary. Long may that continue, sir.
Thanks for having me on.
And your first show on the 28th of February, you can catch that on the talkSPORT Boxing YouTube channel. Can't wait.
Thank you for the advert, Spencer. We will see you after this break.
Tyson Fury, Floyd Mayweather, Canelo Alvarez. Just hearing these names makes you think money and the hundreds of millions of dollars, pounds or Saudi riyals in boxing. But that's at the top. At the bottom, it isn't quite the same. Even for those on the rise, there's not an awful lot of cash in the boxing world. And if you're just starting out, well, it can be a very costly exercise indeed. But don't take my word for it. Here's the former European champion, talkSPORT's Spencer Oliver.
You're turning professional and you're boxing, let's say, York Hall on a non-televised fight. You have to sell tickets to earn any money, but you have to cover the wages of your opponent as well. So if you don't have the ability to be able to sell enough tickets, you effectively have to pay to fight.
A far cry then from Jake Paul facing Mike Tyson in 2024, when the purse was reported to be around £48 million. But the vast amounts of cash lining the top dog's pockets isn't the norm in a typical fight.
Let's say you're lucky and you get between 5 and 10 grand. You're going to get 10 grand max for that. 10% goes to the trainer, 25% goes to the manager. Then we've got the tax man to pay as well. So we're cutting that money in at least half. So now you've got 5 grand for a 10-week camp. So you're talking about a guy here earning, he might be clearing 500 quid a week. How do you support a family on that? So boxers chase the dream. And, you know, there's probably 2% of them that actually make it.
So say you do make it and you start to rise up the ranks. Strikers Boxing, a training academy, says the mid-tier fighters can earn more, somewhere between £10,000 and £50,000 a fight, depending on record, profile, opponent and popularity of weight class. It's only at the top level does the real cash start flowing in, with the top-tier professionals, i.e. those going for titles, earning 6 figures a fight. Something else you'll have heard of is the terms prize fighter or journeyman. A prize fighter is, as it sounds, someone who picks up fights where they can and gets a nice big check if they win. Journeymen are the fighters who take on up-and-comers, effectively used for experience in the ring. Even if they're going up against a real prospect, a young Anthony Joshua, for example, these guys will be lucky to earn more than 10 grand. So the average boxer isn't as rich as you'd think.
Welcome back to Fight Night on talkSPORT. I'm Gareth Davies. Spencer, the Omen Oliver, is with me in the studio. In our last hour, we're about to discuss the super fight next weekend at Madison Square Garden between Teofimo Lopez and Shakur Stevenson, stepping up to a 4th weight division in what is one of the great technical fights that we may see. The bull against the matador against the bull. Who knows what's going to happen in that fight? I'm backing Shakur Stevenson, but we'll get into that in a moment. Aaron McCallum, the BKB bare knuckle welterweight fighter, joins us next. He's fighting in Miami next weekend. I shall be out there with him. He is on a card with 3 world title fights. Lewis Thompson of talkSPORT joins us to talk MMA, and we will round out the show with a secret conversation with me and Spencer Oliver to continue the game show theme tonight. You're listening to Fight Night, watching Fight Night on talkSPORT. You're intrigued now, aren't you?
Yeah, I am, yeah. Do you know what? You've been full of surprises tonight, and I'm loving it, man.
Well, I'm even surprising myself because I don't even know what we're going to do in that last section. No, we do. Don't worry. This is all planned for your delectation and delight. Now, Shakur Stevenson stepping up to the 140-pound division, 10-stone division. Dalton Smith, our very own Dalton Smith, is one of those champions. Teo Lopez, universally accepted as the number 1 in that division. Brilliant victories in his career over Josh Taylor, and prior to that, Vasyl Lomachenko. I think a true victory over Vasyl Lomachenko. If anyone can upset the ascent of Shakur Stevenson up the pound-for-pound list, up the weight divisions, it's the spoiler that is Teo Lopez. I've watched a lot of them together in the build-up, and I like the way Teo is. and I like the way Shaka is. See, Shaka's got the gap between his teeth.
Mm-hmm.
It's gone now.
Yep.
He's had his teeth done. He's ready to be a megastar. I'm really, really, really fascinated by this contest. I think Shaka Stevenson can win this on points, Spencer, but he's going to have to be at his very, very best as we look at these images of the two men. This is the fight that ignites the American market this year. It's obviously got the backing of Turki Al Sheikh, Ring Magazine. The key for me is, can Shaka be big enough to withstand what Tio is going to bring physically as well as psychologically and technically in this fight?
Absolutely, and that's the fascination surrounding this fight. You look at this one and you say, Shaka Stevenson, if he can step up another weight division and become 4-weight world champion, this is his chance now to become that superstar, that all-time great. You know, not just a generational great, but an all-time great. And I've really believed that. Like I've always said, Shaka Stevenson, for me, will emerge as this great fighter. And I think this is his fight right now. I think that he wins this fight as well. Teofimo Lopez blows hot and cold, but when he's good, he's really good. Vasyl Lomachenko was an outstanding performance. Then he got derailed by George Kambosos in the fight after that and just seemed to lose his way a little bit, but in recent times looks back to his best. It's a fascinating fight. This, for me, is all about whether Shaka Stevenson can step up and bring the greatness. He's daring to be great, and I think that Terence Crawford done it against Canelo Alvarez, and I believe that Shaka Stevenson does it against Teofimo Lopez in a fascinating fight. You know, if you're a boxing fan, for the boxing purist, the sweet science between these two, you watch the technical stuff that goes in there. Might not go down as one of the greatest fights there ever was. This could be a real standoff, a real technical fight, but both guys, their IQ is insane, and this is the best fight in boxing today.
It is. It's up there along with Artur Beterbiev against Dmitry Bivol.
But I think from an IQ point of view, I think these two beat those. Artur Beterbiev is more the monster, and Dmitry Bivol is that boxing master, that boxing genius. But I think with these two, they both have a little bit of that. Yeah, Lopez is the rougher and more explosive, but the kid's smart as well, and he's very athletic as well. Yeah. He's good at controlling the space, and his timing is excellent. But Shaka is boxing.
He's special.
Purist.
No, he's special. I felt that for a very long time. I backed him to be the pound-for-pound number one for a very long time, and this is the beginning of that final climb to the top of Everest, if you like. And I think, but if anyone can unseat him and stop that ascent to the throne, it is Tio. Because I think the thing is with Tio as well, I think he's confident because Vasyl Lomachenko is a faster but very fluid type of fighter in the mold of Shakur, who's a very loose-limbed, very relaxed fighter who can be offensive and defensive. It wouldn't surprise me to see Shakur down in this fight as well and get up and win the fight closely on points. But I can also see Tio winning. The fact that Vasyl Lomachenko was a slightly smaller southpaw, and the way that Tio went for him in that fight was extraordinarily clever. The way that he beat Josh Taylor, another southpaw, he likes southpaws, and Shakur is a southpaw. He boxes well against southpaws. He gets his. You talk about this all the time. You've been there and done it. He gets his footwork right against the southpaws. He creates the angles against them. He thinks differently. He's kind of zany and lunatic. He's rather like Tyson Fury and Alexander Usyk in that he's so zany and he's got that screw loose. You can't really get into his head. And I've noticed that in the build-up. They kind of cancel each other out psychologically, these two. There's no chink in the armour of either of them, as far as I've seen.
This is what I'm saying, Gareth. This could be a standoff because these guys know that one false move and it's checkmate.
Yeah.
That's where you're at this sort of level, and that can be for quite a boring fight, but the intensity of watching this one, and you're right in what you say there, and very well observed and well picked up with the footwork, and it's about who gets their foot on the outside of the front foot that gets in control of the fight, because that's who's controlling the space, right? So the front lead there, and that's what he's very good at, Tio, and that's why he has success against southpaws, because if you get your lead left foot as an orthodox on the outside of their lead right foot, then you lead off with a right hand, come with the left hooks, it puts you in control. The southpaw has always got his lead foot on the outside, and that's why the southpaw is always so difficult to beat.
And Tio is an extraordinary dancer, if you remember. His training routines, take a look at his training routines and his footwork. It's just outstanding. He would win Strictly Come Dancing every time. He is a very special character, the American Honduran. I like the way he is. I can see him halting the progress of Shakur, even though I'm going Shakur on points. It would not surprise me if it's a weight division too far. And if Shakur does win this, or it's an extraordinary fight, we will get a second one between them. But it also opens the door for Shakur for the fight with Ryan Garcia, for the fight with Conor Benn, for the fight with Devin Haney. This is the opening of the portals for a big events in America.
I totally agree with that, and that's not you sitting on the fence, by the way, because there is ways that both of these can win this fight.
Totally.
You can see it playing out so
in their
many
prime.
ways.
In
Absolutely,
their prime.
absolutely. I'm going to play a game with you now.
Go on.
I want to throw one at you.
Go on.
So you get Shakur Stevenson against Vasil Lomachenko. Who wins that fight?
Well, right now, Shakur Stevenson, because Vasil's been retired.
No, I mean a prime Vasil Lomachenko.
At featherweight, maybe. Or at super featherweight.
At super feather. Let's go super feather.
Oh, that's a really difficult pick.
I know.
That is a total fifth. It depends on who makes the moves on the night. Because Vasil didn't turn up. Remember when he almost didn't throw a punch for 6 rounds against Devin Haney?
Injured shoulder.
Injured shoulder. Was preserving himself for the second half of the fight. Fully fit Vasil. It's a split draw. It's a split draw. They need 3 fights.
Can I tell you?
Super feather.
Can I tell you why I threw that question at you? Because it was a fascinating fight when Vasil Lomachenko boxed Tio Lopez.
Oh, yeah.
It was a fascinating fight.
That's Tio's best win.
Yeah, absolutely. But what I'm saying is that's how close this fight is. And the reason I use those comparisons is because it's another one of those you go, it would be that close and that difficult to separate them because you can see so many ways with the IQ of these guys and the grit and the determination. They're not just boxing purists. They can get down and bite down on their gum shield. And by the way, Shakur can do that as well.
He can. He showed that against William Zepeda,
Absolutely.
didn't he? How tough he is. And he made Zepeda, a really dangerous fighter, look ordinary.
Yeah.
I don't think he's going to be able to make Tio look ordinary. I think these two might need 36 rounds to settle it.
And I think that we do get that. I think we get the rematch because I think the first one will be controversial. I think it will be very tight. I don't know what way it goes. I'm with you, by the way. I go Shakur Stevenson because I just think he's going to have that extra edge that Teofimo Lopez fights in bursts. And I don't think that that's going to be enough. I think.
But would it surprise you if Tio was too dominant for him either? Would that surprise you?
No, I can see that outcome because he's too strong,
physically
too bullish,
yeah,
and he could dominate in that way. But I just think that he's going to have his moments, he's going to have those bursts. But overall, Shakur will get into a rhythm, he'll have that flow, and he'll just edge him out. But it could be very controversial.
And what Shakur can't afford to do, which he did against William Zepeda, is sit on the ropes and show his defensive skills. He needs the footwork, centre of the ring, and not let Tio have that forward momentum. You let him get forward momentum, and he will bull you.
Here's the excitement on this, though. Teofimo Lopez will put him in that position because he's got that physical
So it's
advantage.
all about the timing in the mid-range. It's going to be fascinating.
He has the physical attributes to put him on the ropes, and he knows that that's where his game's at. He's not going to be able to outbox Shakur. Yeah, he's a great boxer himself, and he's very athletic, and he's got great movement and all that, but he's explosive. He's more bullish, and he will have to bull Shakur. He'll have to bully him. And then where the fight is won and lost is whether he can keep him on the ropes and win the rounds and rack up the rounds. It's a fascinating fight, this.
It is, and it's a fascinating weekend because Adam Azim is fighting on the BBC. Josh Kelly is fighting for a world title as well. And we have bare knuckle boxing, BKB 50 in Miami, where I'm headed to. And up next, Aaron McCallum, who's fighting on that card, joins us.
Win a trip to South Africa with the Barmy Army on talkSPORT.
Okay, our next competition has arrived. You're listening and watching Fight Night on talkSPORT. England returns to South Africa next winter, and as always, the Barmy Army will be out there in force, and this time you could be too. We're giving away a week for two at the 2027 years test in Cape Town, every day of the match at one of the world's greatest cricket grounds, with flights, hotel and spending money all covered. It's your chance to secure 2 spots with the official Barmy Army, so you'll be right in the mix with the rest of the fans. Listen up. Here's how to enter. For your chance to win, text WIN, W-I-N, to 83338. Texts cost £2.50 plus your standard network rate, or call 0343 418 7260. Lines close 6th of February 2026 at 4 p.m. That's when you'll need to answer your phone if it rings. 18 plus UK residents only. This is a network promotion. Full T's and C's at talksport.com. So for your chance to win, text WIN, W-I-N, to 83338 now. Good work, says producer Harjot. That is a long read at 11:21:38 at night with 39 minutes to go of the show. Well, we're going to talk bare knuckle now, and I've always said that were you around now and you hadn't had the horrific things that happened to your head and your brain, you'd be doing a bit of bare knuckle. Well, Aaron McCallum joins us, one of my favourite guys in bare knuckle. He's fighting in Miami next weekend. I'll be out there with him. Serob Minassian at BKB 50. Good evening, Aaron. How are you?
Good evening, Gareth. How are you? I'm sad. I'm all good.
When do you head out to Miami for this kind of massive BKB bare knuckle 50 event?
Head out on Tuesday morning, mate. I think we'll land there about 3:30.
You are up against Serob Minassian. What can you tell us about him?
Do you know what, mate? He's like looking in the mirror anyway for a start. But even his fight style, everything about him, I've really put in the work for him, because I've always said when you're fighting someone that sort of fights like you, that's when you need to really get into it. And yeah, so he's had 100% of me, mate, in this fight camp, let me tell you.
He's also good-looking, bald and muscular like you as well, I've noticed. It's like a mirror image.
That's right, mate. He sure is.
I'd say...
He sure is. We've definitely took the limelight in the best looking.
I tell you what, mate, if he fights like you, we're in for something very explosive and possibly something very, very quick, because I was watching some of your fights on YouTube today. Gareth told me that you was coming on, so I thought, let's take a little sneak look back at some of these fights here. And yours don't last that long. You're very aggressive. Good head movement, by the way, as well. And your timing is impeccable.
I appreciate that, man. I appreciate it. Yeah, it'd be nice to take him out as fast as I have some of the others. I'd love to do that, but I think he's a little bit tougher than a few I've fought. So I dare say he's most probably going to be my hardest fight to date. I've had some good fights, don't get me wrong, but yeah, he's very tough. So if anything, I think we'll both definitely both look a mess after the fight if it goes to 5 rounds, that's for sure.
BKB 50 Evolution, sadly, Dan Gittins, who was fighting Javon Wright for the welterweight crown, is off after an injury. That's earlier tonight that was revealed to Javon Wright, so Dan doesn't travel. Driver against Damon, Blass against McQueen, Ulloa against Torres. What does it mean to you to be on this huge event? Obviously, takeover by the American BKB organisation of the UK organisation. They elided last year. Is it a big thing for you to be on that card?
Oh, mate, it's massive. Like the UK, when it was in the UK, BKB, I did the last show of that as well. So to be on the 50th show of the American brand in Miami, mate, I've had to sort of not think about that as well at the same time and just concentrate on my fight. Do you know what I mean? So there's no way I'm taking it as an holiday. I'll enjoy the time after, but yeah, I've just got to focus on the fight. So, but yeah, what a privilege to be on a show like this.
People won't know this. I think it's your debut on talkSPORT tonight. Not in terms of fighting because the events are shown, but you've got an extraordinary backstory. Tell us about what you were doing in the past, what went wrong, what went right, and how you got into fighting, Aaron.
Well, before I was, well, I've always sort of been fighting from a young age, with my brothers for a start, or just people on the street. I always had a bit of trouble with me. But I actually went into bodybuilding at the age of 21. That sort of kept me on the level. I wasn't going out, I wasn't drinking or anything like that. Bodybuilding, I did that for a good 12 years. I actually only went just to join the gym. I moved out to Skegness, and there was a gym 2 minutes away from me, so I only went in there just to look good, if anything. And it was about 6 years into my training. There was a lad in there, and he was doing a Mr. Peterborough show. And I just took one look at him, and I thought, well, I look better than that, so I might just join it as well. So I ended up joining this competition. I come second in the last, like, so I actually hammered him in this competition, but I just got the bug for it, so I carried it on and on. And that was the only competition I actually lost in. I've done 20, 30 other competitions, ended up winning them all. I won the Novice Britons of NABO in 2014. I just progressed in the sport massively. And then I had a bit of time out, met my wife, who I'm with now, I know. And I did a couple of more shows just to show her what I could do and stuff. I ended up winning the shows. I ended up going back to Peterborough, winning that show. And then I did a Mr. Dorset show. Well, that qualified me for Mr. Britain. Sorry.
Looking bright orange, by the way, during the whole of this time. Bright orange you were, weren't you?
Yeah. I'm bright orange. I was, yeah, when I was in bodybuilding, I was pure, like the darkest tan you could imagine. But yeah, I ended up qualifying to compete for Great Britain at this Dorset show in Lithuania. But I didn't really want to do anymore. I dieted and trained that long doing bodybuilding. It just took a toll on my body. So I ended up stopping that. And I literally then after that, mate, I didn't know what to do in my life. I had a really bad 5 years, just drinking, getting in with the wrong people and stuff like that. And it was my wife that actually got me into BKB. I was in the pub one Thursday night, and she rang me. And she was, I thought she'd ringing me to get me home, you know what I mean? It's like telling me off. But she'd actually rang me to say, there's a fight come up at the O2 on Saturday.
And you're on
it. I didn't even ask any questions. I just said, yeah, put me straight forward. But as I've said that, I've just rang everybody and told everybody that I'm doing this fight. They all thought I was crazy. And then they looked up who I was fighting, Chris Fishgold. And they was all saying, mate, what are you doing? And I says, I'm not going there for the win. I'm going up to wake up. I need to get, you know what I mean, sort my life out. And Chris Fishgold definitely woke me up, mate. He gave me a good beating, and I've never looked back since. So, yeah, I mean, I could have won that fight. Let's say I could have won that fight, but would I be here now today talking to you? I'd have most probably got a massive ego off it and gone and carried on doing what I was doing. Do you know what I mean? So, most of the credit goes to Chris Fishgold, to be fair.
Do you know what? It's a fascinating story and a very inspirational one as well, mate. How you can turn your life around like that, Aaron, is very, very impressive, mate. I just want to get into the mindset of you, Aaron, you know, getting into this, you know, BKB, bare knuckle boxing. You know, I know what it's like with hand wraps on and boxing gloves, and that can be brutal enough, but without the gloves as well, mate. Talk us through the sort of like the pain of that, because I watch you guys and honestly, it takes it to another level. And I look at you guys and I can sometimes, look, I'm not squeamish, but sometimes I'm watching them fights and like you say, if they go 5 rounds, both of you guys are cut to ribbons. Do you know what I mean? Your hands are bashed up as well. Talk us through that. Talk us through that pain, that pain threshold, and where is that pain threshold? How high is it before one of you breaks?
You know what? It's weird. The pain, you know, the more composed you become in this BKB, the more pain you sort of feel. Like the better you get in the ring and stuff like that, you feel a bit more. I can remember fighting Jean Collier, and I was actually ill for the fight, and I was that composed because I was ill and wasn't really feeling the aggressiveness. I jabbed it, and my whole hand just hurt instantly. So that was the only punch that I've really ever felt myself when punching someone pain-wise. And getting punched, I dare say I can't remember really feeling any punches. Bar one, Scott McHugh, when I was fighting for the world title, he jabbed me in the eye, and that made all my eyes wobble and everything. I had to take a step back. And when I seen him step forward, I could sort of just see a blur of him. When he stepped forward, I just hit back, and looking up, it stopped him coming forward to me. But yeah, I think your adrenaline's that high. You're in the moment. The pain kicks in. The second you leave the ring or the trigon, that's when the pain kicks in. I mean, when we go around the back, I've split my eyes, I've gone around the back, and I want to start stitching my eyes, and you ain't touching that. I've just been punched in the face. You know
Listen,
what I mean? So,
he's one
you
more.
start feeling the pain after a while.
One more for you, Aaron, because I'm fascinated by this, mate. So when you got boxing gloves on and you get punched or you have a clash of heads and you feel the cut, because of the adrenaline that you're talking about there, it feels like someone's put a hot knife on your eye. You don't feel it splitting open or anything. It just feels like a hot knife or something on your eye, and then you feel dripping. And you when you see boxers touching their gloves, because they're trying to see whether that's sweat or whether they're cut because of the adrenaline, right? So without the gloves, I'm fascinated to know what that feels like when you get hit with a shot, and we see some horrendous cuts with you guys if you hit with clean shots. What does that feel like when that shot's landed? And a cut has opened up.
Well,
that initial feeling.
Yeah, it's exactly how you'd imagine it to feel. When I did my eyes and I touched that, you actually feel your eye open. So when I cut my finger on it, my finger went in my cut, so I knew it was a big cut. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, obviously with your glove on, you're not going to feel that hole.
Mm-hmm. But you had to check it to see if it was cut or whether it was just sweat. Is that right?
Yeah, it is, mate, because, I mean, you only see it. My cut was in the bottom of my eye, so I couldn't really tell if it was blood. But when I touched it, and obviously you look, your hand's covered in blood, but your finger sort of goes in the actual hole. So, yeah, you definitely know you've been cut.
we wait with bated breath for your contest next weekend. I'm delighted to be joining you out there. It's live on talkSPORT. Ulloa versus Torres for the BKB World Super Flyweight title. Blas versus McQueen, the BKB World Super Featherweight title. The Women's World Welterweight crown between Drive and Daimoni. And, of course, our friend Aaron McCallum, who's made a great debut on talkSPORT tonight and a massive impression on Spencer Oliver. Aaron, thank you very much for joining us. Travel well, and I shall see you in Miami, and we'll see you live on talkSPORT next week.
Yeah, we wish you all the best, Aaron. Best of luck, mate.
Thanks so nice one, Gareth. Appreciate it.
Aaron McCallum, that I am absolutely convinced that you, my friend, would have had a go at that, because your fascination for it is so great that you wouldn't have been able to resist the pull.
Because I said at the beginning, when this first came around, I thought, I don't know if that's for me. I think it's a little bit gruesome. But as I've been watching it now and I'm following it, I'm more intrigued, and now I'm getting to know the fighters a little bit. I'm getting inside the fighters' heads and seeing what makes them tick. Like the questions that I asked Aaron there, you know, looking at his background and what the sport's done for him. I go, do you know what? I like it, mate. I'm starting to I'm getting into it. And these shows are fascinating. I watched them. Often I watch them back on YouTube.
You've got to come and do it.
Yeah,
a Trigon side of me in the smallest combat sports arena in a combat surface in the world. His story, fighting with the kids in the street, fighting with his brothers growing up, becoming the Orange Man, the bodybuilder. Yeah. Honestly, I've seen pictures of him. He was orange, more orange than Simon Jordan will ever be. Yeah? But also, like I said, he gave it up and he went on the booze. Yeah. And 5 years he was in hell, in perdition. And his wife said, I'm going to get you out of it. And he goes and just takes that fight at the O2 Arena, and he gets beaten up, and it's changed his life. That's extraordinary.
That's the part that I love. That bit there, you go, when he lost his way, and you know that he's in the pub and he's drinking and doing whatever else he wants to do in his life. He's spiraling out of control, and all of a sudden the wife's going to leave him, the kid's gone, the house is gone, he's finished, he's in the gutter. But that BKB saved him, like boxing saves a lot of fighters, and that is, that is fascinating, mate, and I love that.
It's brutal, it's visceral, but you can see why it's one of the fastest, if not the fastest growing combat sport in the world. Up next, we're going to change combat sports again, because Lewis Thompson of talkSPORT is going to join us, and we're going to do an MMA recap. Oh, it's the final track. No, they might even get one more track tonight. We love this playlist, don't we, Spencer?
It's a great playlist. And what I said to you when you had your earpiece in there and you was talking about can't wait to see what the next track is, I said Astoria, Camden, Palais, Hippodrome, all of those.
All the memories.
Orange at the Rocket.
Well, young Lewis Thompson, journalist with talkSPORT.com, boxing and MMA?
Yep, boxing and MMA.
Yeah, joins us.
Best of both worlds.
Belfast's finest tonight, because George Glinsky is probably locked in the attic, but not allowed to be with us tonight. We go no further than that. It's either the dungeon or the attic. Thank you for joining us, Lewis. It's been a really big week. We'll come to the preview of UFC 324 main event, Justin Gaethje and Paddy Pimblett towards the end of the section. But huge news this week, frightening news, a horror story in the weigh-ins with Cameron Smotherman.
Yeah, I mean, Cameron was at the weigh-ins. I was watching it live. I was tuning in for Paddy Pimblett. Came in at 154 for his fight with Gaethje, which we'll get to. And Cameron gets up, walks on the scales. He makes the bantamweight limit of 136. And just as he kind of steps to his left, all of a sudden, he just looks very drowsy. His head almost lightheaded. Sometimes I'm quite tall, so sometimes when I stand up, very quickly I get quite lightheaded. It was almost like that. Next thing you know,
say that about you, yeah.
Next thing you know it, he hits the stage, face plants face first, and it's like, oh my word. And it's just opened up this jar of, the extreme dangers of weight cutting in combat sports.
Spencer Oliver.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, I know about those dangers of cutting weights, and I know the consequences. And that
Lewis might not know about the consequences for you, so tell him.
I used to cut weight, and it became a struggle for me to make the super bantamweight limit. And in my last contest, Royal Albert Hall, May the 2nd, 1998, I collapsed in the 10th round. I had a bleed on the brain. Went into a coma for 2 weeks. Thankfully, I made a full recovery, but there's a lot of fighters that haven't done that, and I was just very fortunate. But that is the dangers of cutting weight, and the reasons are, let me just explain very, very quickly, that they've got thousands of blood vessels in and around the brain. The brain loses the cushioning that it's already in because you're so dry, and those blood vessels lose that elasticity, and they become like bits of straw. One of them can snap, and the fight, like mine did in the first round, you get a heavy bleed and then the blood clots. And then, as we know in the past with certain fighters that we've lost, over the years, and certain fighters like, Gerald McLennan, Michael Watson, who have been seriously, seriously injured, that is the dangers of it. And I think that was a massive worry there, I saw.
Lewis,
and I was shocked.
Lewis, Teddy Atlas has come out and complained about it, the great Teddy Atlas. Now, culturally, in MMA, because of the background of wrestling that's so big in it, there are massive weight cuts for some of these guys. I remember fighters in the past losing 40 pounds in weight in the last 10 days to make lightweight or welterweight. What is to be done? Is there a fix? Should they be monitoring the weight of fighters all the way out like they do in boxing?
Well, this is the conversation now, because it's come on the biggest stage of them all. This is the first UFC card in this $7.7 billion deal with Paramount. So all eyes were on the weigh-ins. All eyes were on UFC 324. Spencer, you'd be better to talk about this than me in terms of what fix there is. But is rehydration clauses the answer to this? I mean, we saw what Chris Eubank Jr. was like ahead of both of his fights with Conor Benn. Do you introduce more weight classes?
But MMA guys seem to cut more weight.
Yeah, well, this is the dangers, because fighters say, is it more dangerous just dropping the weight right at the last minute, like you say, Gareth, 40 pounds over the last week or the last 10 days, or is it more dangerous being dehydrated all the time because you want to keep down the weight like I was? So I always kept in. I was like, I boxed at 8 stone 10, never went above 9'7" because it would be too hard to get back down again. I was literally so tight. So I was effectively always dehydrated. And then obviously what happened to me happened to me. So you go, what is the answer to this? And I think bringing in those weight checks is a good thing, because you can keep an eye on fighters for sure. But I don't really know if that is the answer or not, but I think in UFC, I think that there should be more monitoring over the weights, because it was clearly evident to see this kid drop weight very, very quickly, and that's why it's put him in a position that he's in. And, thankfully, and I can't believe I'm even saying this.
No, this is a very good point.
He collapsed on the stage
rather than behind
the stage. Because I'll tell you what would have happened if he collapsed behind the stage. There's that conversation then. I just collapsed. You're my trainer. And that conversation, I still want to fight because I need the money. I've got to have this. And you might say, well, you know what? Let's go. You'll be all right. We'll get some water in you. But I'll tell you what don't happen in those 24 hours. You can't rehydrate the body enough. Doesn't matter if you drunk 50 litres of water. What happens is the blood vessels in and around the brain that lose that elasticity and become like bits of straw, they can't rehydrate in time. So they still stay like bits of straw, even though you think you've rehydrated your body. And that's the dangers of it. And that's what the fighters and the trainers still don't recognise. And that was my worry there, that God forbid he made it another 3 steps. I talked to Gareth about this and got off the stage. we could have seen him in the ring and said, then we could have been in a disaster.
He should never have been in the octagon, and thank God he isn't.
Yeah, it was obviously the fight was pulled from the card, but I was going to say I really agree with that point. I interviewed Arnold Allen ahead of this card, who's fighting on the main card. Allen's from Ipswich, and he talked about weight cutting. They all really have their own individual ways of doing it. There doesn't seem to be a collective sense of, stick to this kind of guide like there would be in other things of the sport in terms of, maybe what they wear and other things they must follow. But yeah, it does seem like rehydration clauses would kind of give the fighters more of an incentive to, almost not have that extreme cut in the week leading up to it.
Arnold Allen as well, and Jean Silva doing a massively brilliant dance and magic wand and all those things at the weigh-in. He is a guy that could go on and be a world champion, in my view. Arnold Allen, very talented. Justin Gaethje, Paddy Pimblett. I'm nailed down as Paddy submits Justin, who I think is a little bit shot now. I think Paddy is one of those guys, through the prism of his arrogance and confidence, Conor McGregor-esque, Conor Benn-esque, Nas Hamid-esque. You're watching to see if he's going to lose, but he has got such an arrogance, a confidence about him that you just want to watch him.
I mean, I completely agree. I think Pimblett by submission is the
3 or 4 rounds.
Is the way, yeah, 3 or 4. I think there's something about Paddy. He just loves proving people wrong, and he was phenomenal against Michael Chandler last time. Every time he's come up against someone new, fans would be like, it's going to be too much, it's going to be too much. But Justin Gaethje is an absolute killer, and it would be very dangerous for Paddy to stand there with Justin.
I think he will.
But he does. His striking is very much
and
improved.
He's lost 3 of his last 7. So
yeah, he's 37, but Justin Gaethje is still extremely dangerous. And he's been in there with the Khabibs of the world. But I think you're right. I think Paddy just possesses this confidence, almost like a Conor McGregor, that is so hard to disrupt.
But that's the appeal, isn't it? And that's the excitement.
That's why he's one of the biggest stars.
He does the unexpected, and that's what makes him that guy. He's got so much charisma inside and outside of the ring, and that
he's the fifth Beatle, isn't he?
But when you go so this is the way that he's going to win the fight, and this is the way that he should win the fight, staying on the outside and looking to nick that moment, nick that opportunity. You go, but no, he's done what everyone expected him not to do, beat him that way. And that's
if you were on the strip tonight, you'd be wearing the blonde wig with 5,000. No, but it's gone viral, isn't it? Yeah. There's 5,000 blonde wigs on the strip tonight. We wish him all the best. I've got to move it on. So you're picking him by submission. Come on, Spence, give us your pick.
Yeah, I think Paddy the Baddy by submission.
Which round?
I think round 2.
Okay, lovely. You're probably going to be right.
3.
I'm going round 4. 3 or 4. On that point, Paddy wins tonight, let's say. He's beaten Tony Ferguson. He's beaten Michael Chandler. He's beaten Justin Gaethje. Does he get on this big White House card in July, I think it is? Obviously, Dana White's relationship with Donald Trump, they're looking at the White House. There's controversy around, is the $200 million it's going to cost to put it on coming out of taxpayers' money? Talk to us about the White House card. Will Paddy be on it if he wins?
Well, there's rumours it's going to take place on Trump's 80th birthday on June 14th. But Paddy's came out and he said he's not too interested. I think it's the same with Tom Aspinall. He's also came out and said, they're not too interested. And Paddy has spent over $100,000, close to $150,000 for UFC 324 to bring his closest friends and family to Las Vegas, to the T-Mobile Arena. But he said if he can't get that for the White House card, because Dana White, there might be there's definitely going to be a limited amount of spectators around the octagon on the south lawn of the White House.
110 spectators or something, isn't it?
Well, I think around 5,000 on octagon side, but then Dana White
will be there.
He has plans to put them the ellipse.
You'll be there.
I believe the ellipse, he wants to have big massive screens, hundreds of thousands of people, make a big massive week out of it. But I don't think Paddy's too interested.
Who's the main event in the White House card then, in your view? Is it going to be John Jones and Tom Aspinall?
I don't think Dana White trusts John Jones for the White House card, but I think
Conor McGregor.
I think a Conor McGregor return would be
against
the natural
Khabib.
Well, no, definitely not Khabib. He won't come out of retirement. Everyone thought it was going to be Michael Chandler, but Dana White's came out and said he's not too sure about Michael Chandler.
I don't like that.
You maybe
anymore.
think it's an American. There's rumors of Nate Diaz, Jorge Masvidal, but I'm not sure. I think Conor McGregor will definitely be on the card.
Dustin Poirier again?
Yeah, Dustin Poirier could be, but I mean, Trump said there'll be 8 or 9 title fights on it, so it's going to be massive, whatever it is. But I think they might hold maybe a Paddy Pimblett versus Ilia Topuria fight, because that is naturally what's going to happen next.
What about Paddy against Conor McGregor?
I mean, Paddy.
I like it.
I mean, Paddy would definitely not turn it down, but it's just Conor McGregor. I think he would be stupid to accept that fight, just the level that they're both on now.
Amazing. And we've got a couple of other Brits on the card tonight. Yeah. Modestas Bukauskas and Atiba Gautier.
Yes, Atiba Gautier and Arnold Allen. Arnold Allen is opening up the main card against Jean Silva, a battle of the featherweights, and that has huge ramifications on the featherweight division. Actually, it's already started, UFC 324. It's live now. The live blog is live on talksport.com right now.
And you're going back to it after
I'm
this?
going back and working the overnight, yes.
You can't wait to get out of it.
And are you a jiu-jitsu guy, a wrestling guy, a stand-up guy? What are you?
You know, I just love it all. I just love everything about it. I think fighters, and it's the same in boxing. I love boxing too. They just possess such unique stories. Anytime I interview them, you know, there's just something so wild. And you were speaking to the
Aaron McCallum.
You were speaking to the bare knuckle guy.
Yeah, he's a fantastic.
They just have amazing stories, and I'm buzzing for to get this new era underway. I mean, the Paramount Plus deal is massive.
Dan Gittings, who was going to join us, who was fighting Javon Wright for the world title, is a former paratrooper who writes movies and has been in action movies as well. And he's 5-0 in bare knuckle, so we wish him all the best in his next outing as well.
Absolutely. And do you know what, Lewis? Just to add to what you were saying there, I said, when you get to know these guys and you interview them or you do a piece on them and you find out their backgrounds, like Aaron there, you go, all of a sudden you're invested in them.
Exactly.
And that's why the listeners, the people that are driving in their cars now or working at work, whatever, they go, I want to see this guy. He's got an interesting story.
I know.
And because you're up close and personal and you're interviewing these guys all the time, that's why I can see you itching to get out of your seat because you want to go and see what's going on.
Just quickly on Arnold Allen, he revealed, he has a family of strongmen. His dad was a former British strongman. His brother is currently Europe's strongest man in his weight class. And he talked to me about this big bulk. He went up to 190 pounds. He's coming back from injury, last fought in July 2024 in Manchester. So I'm super excited for his fight with Jean Silva.
Great stuff. Thank you, Lewis. Thank you, Spencer. We are doing the game show in the last section, and I'm going to test the brain and the skills and the wit of the Omen. Welcome back to Fight Night on talkSPORT. What a night, Spencer Oliver. We have got a competition now. Well, it's a game show, but it's just questions for you, really, in the last 5 minutes. Thanks for being with us tonight. It's been a lot of fun. So much going on. Right. Prediction questions, Spencer Oliver. I'm going to get you to answer. I'll give a very brief answer of my own. We've got 5 minutes to get through these. By the end of 2026, will world titles still mean what they used to? And this is in the context of Zuffa boxing and the competition that's going on with all the sanctioning bodies.
It's a very simple answer for me. Yes, they will mean exactly the same by the end of 2026. You know, Zuffa boxing, I understand what they're trying to achieve, and I understand that, but that's the long game. That's not going to happen overnight, and it's definitely not going to happen in the next 12 months. So the world titles will mean exactly the same by the end of 26.
Here's my thing. The Ring magazine belt will mean the most.
Yeah.
With all of them, and I think it will sit and dominate. And we know who owns the Ring right now, Turk Al Sheikh.
Well,
incredible
I
strategic
totally agree with
move.
that, by the way. And that's, by the way, speaking from a fighter's point of view as well, that's every fighter's dream. Yeah, they love the green and gold belt, the WBC. That's the one, the IBF, WBA, and WBO. Yeah, I get that. But the Ring magazine, that means something, because that means you are the champion of all champions. That's the belt that everyone wants.
And that's the one that people vote on.
Yes.
A big group of people vote on who is the number one in the division. Where will the biggest, this is a good one, where will the biggest fights in boxing be held the most in 2026? Saudi Arabia, America, England, or Japan?
Now, that is a great question, because America is coming back into the game big time with Zuffa boxing and TKO. But do they have the stars right now? I think they need to build those stars still. I'm going to say the biggest fights will happen Saudi Arabia, followed closely by England. And the reason I say, actually, let me switch that up. I'm going to say the biggest fights in 2026 are going to land in England, because we may just get that Anthony Joshua Tyson Fury fight, and I believe that ends up at Wembley.
The biggest fights of the year in 2026 are going to end up on Netflix. It doesn't matter where it's going to be. Yeah. I think it'll be America or the UK.
Yeah, there you go.
But it could be Saudi Arabia if Turkey Al Sheikh wants it. I don't want to end on Jake Paul, but will we see Jake Paul headline against Canelo Alvarez in 2026?
Great question. Another great question. I think he's mad enough. I do. I think he is mad.
And there's enough money on the table for Canelo.
Yeah, absolutely.
Will he get his jaw broken again?
Oh, absolutely, yes.
Canelo's coming back in September, as we've seen. We haven't discussed that together. Under the auspices of Turkey Al Sheikh. Mexico versus the world.
Mm-hmm.
So he's going to be fighting someone. I can't believe it will be Jake Paul on that card. But it would not surprise me to see Canelo was within a whisker of facing Jake Paul before he signed to fight Terence Crawford.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't surprise me to see him in the ring. He's going to earn 75 to 100 million for it, and Jake Paul probably get his jaw broken again.
No, I totally agree with you, mate. And you know what? You got to give Jake Paul his flowers, though, haven't you? Because I mean, he's brought the boxing space into a whole different space. Women's boxing, he has transformed that. You know, he's given these girls a huge opportunity. So there's a lot of